G'day, folks. AoS Coach here, and we have summoned the 4th edition Battletome from the Realms of Chaos to talk about all things Blades of Khorne. I am joined by the Lord of Skulls, the wielder of Agarth, Alec Jerome, who's here to spill blood in the name of Khorne and share some insights. G'day, welcome. I was trying to not call you Alex and also not butcher Agarth. Double
tongue twister at that point.
Yeah, like I set myself up for failure, but I think I was okay. But anyway, Alec, welcome. G'day. Introduce yourself. Why are you here, and what are you excited about?
Cool. Thank you for having me on. I'm super excited to be here and chat about new Khorne today. So yeah, as you mentioned, my name's Alec Jerome. On Discord, I am Italian AJ or Alec. Either one is good with me. So I've been playing Khorne for about a year now in terms of going hard in the paint and giving it my all. I think I'm currently number 1 ITC. I think Alex Gonzalez is like 2 points behind me or something like that. Like crazy close. There we go. So we're there. Top. We'll see if I maintain that through the end of the year. And then I also play for the Team California team for North American Championships. So that's where I see and we'll see a lot of people that I've met on your Discord, specifically at that event. So I'm excited to meet people there as well.
No, it's great to have you, and it's great to have you on the channel. Your name has popped up a lot when it comes to ITC, and you are currently number 1. So what better person to help us unpack the new Battletome? As always, folks, Games Workshop did send this to me in advance. They're not going to see this video. They have no editorial right for anyone. You get it. We got a cool book here. And I do want to get Alex's opinions in a second, because a lot's changed. A lot has changed. And I'm saying that not as a bad, not as a good, but I remember doing the Auric War Clans book, and basically it was a copy paste. Actually, it was worse than a copy and paste from the faction, like the index. And I remember saying to people in the Auric book that I'm like, this feels like it was written in 3rd. Slowly, it feels more and more like books are written in 4th. And I think this, when I compare that to every other Battletome, even the IDK, this one and IDK definitely have been written in 4th edition. I'd put money on that. But before we get into that, if you are looking at buying this book, which I hope you will be, consider our partners and help the channel, whether it's through Warp 5 Minis in the USA, Element Games in the UK, or Gap Games in Australia, or join us on Patreon. The link is down below in the episode description. Cool. Now that I've shilled the thing, Alec, what's your first thoughts? And we are going to bring up all the slides and we'll unpack this in greater detail, but you've had this book now for a little bit of time. What are your first observations and thoughts as an existing Khorne player?
Yeah, so you are almost underselling it in saying that it's one of the bigger changes so far. I think this is by far the largest change that I've seen of the book. I mean, we are going to be hitting changes on everything, like battle traits, full reworks, battle formation changes, war scroll changes, and so when you sent this to me and I was taking a look at it, I think my first note-taking session on this book was about 2 hours long, sitting through and just trying to absorb the information that this book was giving. And so I'm excited for it. There's a ton of really cool changes. But this is going to feel like a very different army. That's kind of the biggest takeaway I had looking at it. I think that some people are going to be super, super happy, and some people are going to probably shelf this army until they figure out if they like it or not, because, it really does feel almost like a brand new army.
I will partially, I'll agree with you mostly. First and foremost, like, anyone who's watched my previews like this in the past, I'll do like a war scroll breakdown where I'll say, right, here are all the war scroll changes. Even if it's like a pip of a wound has gone up or down, or, a D3 damage is turned to a 2. I'll call that as many things that I can possibly find. And it's normally like a sexy little 1-pager. And I know Vince Venturella loves it. I do all the hard work. There's 2 pages.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure And I'm pretty sure I reduced the font size as well. Like, I'm like, dropping that font size. I'm like, there is a lot of change. And again, not bad, not good. There's just a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say though, Alec, that while you do say that this does feel like a different army, I would compare it to IDK, where the identity and what Khorne does is very similar to IDK. Yeah, the tides have certainly changed and how you manipulate it, and you've got new tools and things, but IDK still feels like IDK. The strengths is still IDK. I would probably agree that Khorne is still the same. Like the way you look at Khorne, but the way you play, the way you think about your battle tactics and you play out the game, I think you have now new tools and your battle trait. I love it. I think this is my favorite version of it.
Very cool. I do agree. I would say that in terms of the feeling for an army, it does feel like Khorne. I think they got the Khorne narrative more correct. A lot of people, I've seen complaints before that Khorne doesn't feel like it plays like how the lore is. I would say that they took that to heart, and they are saying we want the army to play and feel like Khorne. And so in that aspect, it is moving in that right direction, which is really good. And I do think that this identity is very unique, which is cool. We're not saying like a rehash or a rework or something else. This, and when we get to it, the battle traits section, you'll see it and be like, this is a video game, right? Like, right? Or are we playing a video game with this? This is some really cool stuff that they're trying out, right? Like, even if it doesn't succeed, I think it's awesome that Khorne is getting stuff like this.
If I was a Khorne player, I would be excited to play the new thing. So anyway, let's stop teasing the folks. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and go to probably the worst thing that's going to happen, right? So brace yourself in, folks. Are you ready to go? Because we've got some losses. We've got some losses here. So you probably would not be surprised if I was to say to you that we've lost the Aspiring Deathbringer and the Exalted Deathbringer. We do have the new Deathbringer. So how many Deathbringers can you say in a sentence? Like a lot of things with like Blood or Skull or Crusher in this book. So you probably can absolutely, no one's going to argue you making this a regular Deathbringer. Use your models, absolutely. But technically there is no War Scroll now for the Aspiring Deathbringer. There is no Exalted Deathbringer either. You've now just got Deathbringer, and we will go to the Deathbringer new War Scroll in this video. The other one that kind of caught me by surprise, actually, was our two Juggies. The Lord of Khorne on Juggernaut and your Skullmaster Herald of Khorne on Juggernaut. Now, might not surprise a few of you. I didn't see this coming, but then again, I also didn't see Slaves to Darkness losing the War Shrine. So, what are your thoughts and feelings about this? Now, obviously, you've lost something, so there's no gains here. So, like, obviously, we accept that this sucks. We've lost the thing. But how do you feel generally about some of these losses?
Yeah, when you originally asked me, you said, hey, guess what was removed? I think I guessed 3 out of the 4 of these, and the one that I added as my 4th was the Khorgorath model, which survived. That is here. So Khorgorath players rejoice. You can play that model for much longer. But look at what we have here. The top 2 models, the 2 Juggernauts, I think they're both resin kits. I don't think they're in plastic at all. So wasn't a big surprise to me they were losing those. And I think overall, they don't really want Khorne to be a cavalry-focused army. They were really awkward models, awkward rules to fit into your army. I mean, we had a cavalry dude on a circular base as the Skullmaster, which is just a funny thing in general, not a very common model there. But nobody was taking too much of these, so I'm hoping the outcry is not too loud for them. And like you said, the Deathbringer part, you're playing them as the new Deathbringer anyways, right? They are the really cool models. We'll get to the rules. I like the rules. So I don't think, that's too big of a loss. But yeah, it does stink that I wish we got 5 new models, lost a couple old ones, but I do appreciate a condensing of the rules in sorts. That way, we don't have too bloated of a roster.
Yeah, obviously there's not many of these players, but I know there are people who will build their whole army around cavalry. So those
they
people
have one of the coolest in the game. Like the Juggernauts are very unique, cool looking cavalry. Skull Crushers, Blood Crushers are awesome looking. So that is definitely a bummer. And I know Tom Guan, who was trying to meme on me for a all Skull Crusher Lord of Khorne on Juggernaut 1-drop list. He might be sad at the end of the day, but I think he'll probably blink and find a new army in 1 second. So maybe not too much there.
but I'm going to move you from the lows to the highs. I need to call out one of my favorite things. By the way, folks, there is regiments or armies of renown as well. There's obviously your path to glory. There's some really cool lore. There is a whole bunch of stuff here, right? But my favorite thing, and it's almost completely derailed my next tournament list because I've been running Daughters of Cain, absolutely love them, one of my favorite armies. But Skarbrand is now a regiment of renown. So I can bring him into a Tzeentch army, a Heednuts of Slaanesh army. You can bring him into, actually all chaos. So Subs of Tzeentch, Madduck of Nurgle, Heednuts of Slaanesh, Skaven, and Slaves to Darkness. But the thing that I'll call out before I get to Alec, and this is why, like, as a Tzeentch player, I'm like, oh man, between this and the new artifact in Tzeentch with the sword that does some crazy damage if you put it on a lot of change with like a lot of attacks. So the special rule with Skarbrand, he's just one drop. He's just the exiled one. He has this rule in combat called Hatred for All. You must pick this ability if this unit is not in combat, and there are other visible friendly units within this unit's combat range. You must pick one of these friendly units to be the target, and you resolve combat attacks against it. So basically, Skarbrand is an awesome regiment of renown. If he's in combat range with friendlies and not in combat with enemies, you gotta fight yourself, and that is so thematical. And I can't wait to see Skarbrand in Nurgle lists and in Slaves list and in Tzeentch lists, even just like clan rat spam and just like what you could possibly do with like, or even like having storm fiends popping out of tunnels, or like the craziness that can come out of this. Like, this is exciting. At least I'm getting excited. Alec, what are your thoughts?
Bingo card of Skarbrand ROR was not there for me. When you said that, and I saw this, I was like, this is crazy. The rule where if in the combat phase, if he's not fighting the enemy, he's fighting friendly because he hates everything, is so, like we said, we're moving towards the Khorne dedicated lore, right? This man is killing everything. This demon is killing everything. He hates everything. It doesn't matter, friendly, enemy. He is fighting in the combat phase. And I think that is so cool. I would love to play him in other Chaos armies. I've been transitioning to only own Chaos armies at this point. I like the factions a lot, so I would love an excuse to play him. If his points are right, because usually they're a little bit lower than his normal points, I could definitely see this guy popping up. It's awesome. It's so cool.
The durability, like you put him in Nurgle with durability, you pop him in with the bodies of Skaven, you put him with the speed of Slaanesh, you put him in with the magical supremacy of Tzeentch. There's just, and obviously then as well, like, you know, like Skarbrand with Varangard, Skarbrand with Knights, Skarbrand with Chosen, Skarbrand with Ogoroids. Like, the world is like, you can see how genuinely excited, and I definitely have looked at my local game store multiple times and on the fence of pulling the trigger. Although I will say it's funny that Skarbrand is a ROR and Archaon still isn't. So you've got Nagash who can jump between death, but no Archaon.
Or Be'lakor or other stuff like that. I have Be'lakor hidden in my closet as the Dark Master in the dark, because he has treated me poorly the last couple times I've played him. But I was a big Be'lakor fan playing him in all the other factions. So I like that we're coming back. I love allies. I love RORs. More of them, please. This is a great addition. I think it's a really cool one. It's great lore on it. It's just a win, in my opinion. It's a great one.
Yeah, huge win. And I know I'm teasing you folks because this is technically a Khorne video. If anyone who's watching this who doesn't play Khorne, hopefully this is your foot in the door. And if you play other Chaos armies, now know that you can bring Skarbrand over to your other forces. So that's really cool. Now, we said at the start of the show that there's a fundamental shift when it came to your battle traits, and we're going to break it down here. Now, this is a three-parter, folks, so play along with us. Some of the stuff is not going to make sense at this specific moment, but as we unfold it through the slides, it'll make much more sense. So, first things first, you got your Blood for the Blood God. seems pretty consistent, right? Earn 1 blood type point each time a friendly unit is destroyed. You generate blood type points, and you unlock things. Cool, makes sense so far. It's different, but so far nothing too much has changed so far. We have skulls for the Skull Throne. So once per battle, start of any turn, pick a blood tithe ability that you have not unlocked and spend the number of blood tithe points required to unlock the ability. Now, the blood tithe ability is now unlocked for the rest of the battle. This is a change. We know this is a change because previously it would be like currency where you cash it in for murder lust, you cash it in for this thing, and it lasts for the duration of the ability. Now we're unlocking things. This is kind of where Alec was referring to the video games.
Yeah, leveling up is a thing that they've played around with in certain armies, like with Vordry and Soul Light Grave Lords, but they're doing it different here. So earning that blood tithe is the same with killing things, but the utilization has completely changed.
Cool. So we're not transactioning each round to do a thing. We are unlocking things like a video game. Great analogy. Now you have this other rule called Blood Drenched. Now I will call out at this particular point that all of the war scrolls on their melee weapon, they have this rule now called Blood Drenched. I think it's called Blood Drenched or Blood Glory. I'll go to the exact rule. It's literally the same, right?
It is Blood Hungry.
Blood Hungry. Thank you. Blood something. I can see it on the screen now. I'm going blind. Shout out to Khorne. So Blood Drench anyway, once per battle, any hero phase, you can use this ability if at least half the number of units on both players' army roster combined, rounding up, have been destroyed. For example, you have a roster of 9 units, your opponent has 4, the average would be 7 units that would need to be destroyed. The following effect applies for the battle. You've got the Wild Eye Brutality, so ignore positive modifiers to save rolls for friendly Blades of Khorne units. Blood Haze, your blood-hungry weapons used by friendly bloodbound units have crit mortals. Your weapons of murder will add 1 to the rank characteristic for blood-hungry weapons used by friendly Blades of Khorne non-monster demon units, including blood-hungry companion weapons. And then finally, a Blood Lord Supreme, that sounds like a pizza, not a rule. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of blood-hungry weapons used by friendly Blades of Khorne monster units. I will call out here at this particular point to open up a Christmas present is there are ways to unlock these rules beyond killing half the units, sorry. So just know that, like, because I know you can write this off pretty easily, like, oh man, I'll get the effects in turn 4. No, there are ways to tap into it. Alec.
Yes. So yeah, this is another just like it took me a second to digest this when I originally saw it because there's so many abilities that are just unlocked when this happens. So again, to reiterate what you said on how to generally unlock this is that half the units in the game need to be dead. And so, you combine you and your opponents. And that's not necessarily that hard. If you're running 10 units, you need 5 of them dead. Well, here's the cool thing about Khorne. You want your units dead. So you're killing their things. They're killing your things. You can get this, as early as like probably bottom of 2, top of 3 is what I'm thinking that you could probably realistically unlock these things, especially if you're getting aggressive on the battlefield and kind of pushing the tempo when it comes to the fight. The crazy thing is that first line there, the ignore the positive modifiers of save rolls for Khorne units. That is bad for our defenses, right? I think that traditional. I took 60 Blood Warriors to LVO this year. That would hurt 60 Blood Warriors a lot if I can't get +1 to save anymore, right? That we are, like I said, we are transitioning thought processes with how Khorne is working. However, I will say when we get to the Blood Warrior scroll, they got some buffs that I do like a lot for that. So, it's not like Blood Warriors are nerfed because of that ability. They get some good things. So that's great. Crit Mortals, we're pushing the tempo even harder now. Your Bloodletters and your Blood Crushers are getting extra rend, which is great. And that includes companion weapons, which is, I think, really cool. I do like the fact that the Blood Crushers are, I think a Blood Crusher with this ability going to rend 2 on both the top and bottom actually becomes quite the good unit. And I've already liked the Scourge of Gyran Blood Crushers from an ability perspective. I think upping their damage with this ability, getting that like charge through is phenomenal. So that's really cool. And then, for the Bloodthirster lovers out there, it's time to kill more things even harder. Your 5 damage attacks were not enough. Let's bump that to 6, right? Like it's some fun stuff that's coming through.
Yeah, and just to reinforce as well, there are some ways to access these rules well before. So to Alec's point, if you want to, I probably predict more of a turn 3 to turn 4, depending on because right now the meta is we've come from the first season where we were much more elite, much more low drops. As the priority roll now has changed to allow you to get the re-roll if you have more drops, I am starting to see lists expanding with more units and being punished by. So I would probably confidently say turn 3, you start accessing this, even if it's late turn 3, without any special rules. So don't write it off. There's some cool things, but also to your point, the wild-eyed brutality is a negative. So
it's time to close out the game in crunch time when this ability comes on, right? And I think certain units really play to this play style. Like I've been liking Blood Reavers since the update. This is great Blood Reaver stuff, right? You're sending in Blood Reavers, they're killing what they touch, and then they get hit by a stiff breeze and they die. Well, that helps you unlock your Blood Drenched ability even sooner, right? So stuff like that, those trading pieces get even better with the unlocks to push the tempo of the game with Blood Drenched.
And it also unlocks more of your blood points for the Tithe that we're ready to go. Are we ready?
Yeah, let's see this great image here.
I recreated this, so give me some credit. This is literally mine. So sorry to interrupt your viewing pleasure here. Quick update from post-production. There's a couple of things that we noticed that I want to call out now before you start questioning what on earth are we talking about. We do catch some of them mid-discussion, but I want to highlight them really quickly. The first one being Murderlust. We're going to start talking about Murderlust in a second and the generic tables. There is a line we do capture during the conversation where it does say that you do not need to unlock this ability to use it. It is already unlocked. So some of the sequencing stuff we're talking about where it's like a sequence like turn 3, turn 4 type thing, really just dial it back a turn. Apologies for that one. We do capture it while we are talking. The other one I did notice is that there was an ability we start talking about under the Mighty Skull Crushers. It's actually for the Wrathmongers. So again, just change the context if you're thinking about the value of a particular unit. As always, if we do capture anything else, do look down in the pinned comment section. We try to do our best in the short period of time that we have to review these books. There will be mistakes, apologies, and back to the real discussion. Welcome to your new battle traits ability. So this is your new Blood Tithe, right? Now we're going to unpack this because you're like, what is this all and what's going on? Cool. So it is structured the way this is structured. So this is not me making it look pretty. You start off with Murderlust. Notice Murderlust has changed colors. So you will go to the rules. Murderlust isn't Murderlust. Murderlust is a different Murderlust. So you've got something at the start. You've got Murderlust. Then what happens is you start unlocking and you'll notice that the condition to unlock something will be based on what you've previously unlocked. So for example, if I wanted the ability of Cleaver Wide, the Grid of Khorne, you would need to unlock Revel of Battle or Glorious Combat or Naught. I couldn't unlock Murder the Mystic in order to get the Cleave Wide because there are some preconditions to unlock certain rules. So you start off with Murderlust. You then have Divine Scorn or Punish the Pacifist. By the way, you can unlock both. It's not like it's not like IDK. If you happen to see my IDK show where it's like this linear path, you can completely first couple of Blood Tithe, I'm going to do this and then give me more opportunities. Or if it's very clear that you want to get rid of a certain thing or there's a certain type of build, so you might go all in on a particular style. Then you obviously got Murder the Mystic, Glorious Combat or Naught, and Revel in Battle. Notice that that third layer does have 2 and 3 points. And then finally, your 4 Blood Tithe points to unlock the last level. And the key here as well, the design notes, it says unlocking a Blood Tithe ability does not lock you out of other abilities for the tier. so you can unlock more. And as we mentioned as well, once you've unlocked it, you can continue to use that rule as much as you want. So you can always be using Murderlust. And then once you unlock Punish the Pacifist, you can use that as much every battle round, and et cetera, et cetera. Alec, any initial thoughts before we get into the actual rules? How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like I said, I thought this is an awesome system. It's this chart really exemplifies how cool I think this trait is. My initial thoughts of it are, just to reiterate, you unlock 1 per battle round, start of any turn. So you are going to unlock 5 of these in a game. So that obviously means you will double up at a tier at some point. You don't even have to go down to the bottom tier if you don't want to. If you want to just do all 5 in the first couple, you can do that as well. So, but that also means, though, is that when we look at the next page and what each of these do, notice that stuff like Slaughter the Triumphant and Cleave Wide can only be unlocked round 4. Like, it's a little similar to the Tides, like you said, but not the linear path. It's like, the tiers are a hard cap, kind of based on the ability working on when you could earliest unlock them. But so I think if I had to pick one thing to change, I would say unlock more than 1 per turn, because as a Khorne player, I could tell you getting to 1 Blood Tithe or 3 Blood Tithe or 7 Blood Tithe. I have gotten to 7 Blood Tithe after top of 2 before, right? So I don't think people will have problems unlocking these. I think there will be almost never that you are going to have a difficult time hitting 1 Blood Tithe by round 2 and then 2 additional Blood Tithe by round 3. So,
I love the flexibility of being able to, I know we've had Blood Tithe tables in the past. I do like this system rather than a menu. Anyway, let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah.
Just like, shut up and get into the rules.
Lots of words now.
Shut up. All right. So let's start by the rounds, or the tiers, right? So first off, we have Murderlust. I said Murderlust isn't Murderlust. So Murderlust is once per turn reaction. You declare a charge ability, roll a dice. You can replace one of the dice in the charge roll with that value. If you do so, inflict D3 mortal damage on the unit using charge ability after the ability has been resolved. Alec, go.
Yeah. So with this, Murderlust abusers are going to be sad. I'm a little bit sad with this change. The amount of times that I abuse the ability of Murderlust, yeah, I know. That is so.
Podcast people, I'm playing a violin.
Yeah, it is a very, very tiny violin. And so, you know what? It is what it is on that one. Nobody thought that it was going to stick around again. I was hoping it would just get a small nerf, but again, we got a complete rework here. So let's talk about the new thing. This is quite a good ability. First of all, a couple things to notice. You roll the dice and you can replace. So let's say you need something like a 6-inch charge minimum. You roll a 5 and a 1, right? Or let's actually, a better idea would be an 8-inch charge. Let's say you roll a 5 and a 3, right? You can roll a dice and be like, you know what? A 10-inch charge and an 11-inch charge would actually get me in a better situation here, right? But let's say you roll a 1 or a 2, you don't fail your charge. You can replace, you could choose not to take that and then still get your 8. So that's really great. It's really only going to be improving your charge rolls, getting you more consistently. Again, let's keep bringing up tempo. We are pushing the tempo with this. You need to get your guys into combat. D3 mortals only helps us die quicker. I don't care about that. Gets us towards our things that we want to happen anyway. So good ability, solid one to start off with. I do like it.
Can I just say, to me, this is huge. And putting old Murderlust aside, because it's not there, doesn't exist.
Yes,
doesn't have. Let's not compare it.
We played the violin. It's gone.
Let's not compare. For me, this is so impactful for a counter charge.
Yes,
because there's no reroll, right? So on a regular turn, if I want to do my own charge in my own turn, I've always got the reroll mechanic, no problem. But with a counter charge, when I'm using 2 command points and I fail that charge, I'll take the D3 damage, because the getting into combat is worth more to me than not being in combat, not doing melee, not generating blood tithe, not tying up my opponent.
Yep.
So to your point, you may not ever use it in your turn, and it's completely optional if you want to use it. But even just the counter charge,
Yes.
That's scary as an opponent, because knowing that you can re-roll one of those die, so good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I am a big believer in leaving 2 CPF for countercharge almost always in Khorne. I think it's one of my favorite abilities. So I think this is going to help a lot, right? You can run your idiot into the middle of the board, and if they want to, like you run your 20 Blood Warriors in the middle of the board, they don't want to fight that. Well, too bad. I'm getting a big countercharge, and I'm going to push that to even get farther in your face there.
And it's often the threat of it, like just knowing that like that scares people in themselves, and they'll create a little 12-inch bubble and kind of keep away from you just because of the idea that you'll roll double sixes.
Or force them to, charge a unit into you that they didn't want to originally just because they have to lock it up, right? So stuff like that is, again, good things for your army. It changes how your opponent has to play, and changing how your opponent has to play is always beneficial for you.
Perfect. So the second level, so we've got Divine Scorn and Punish the Pacifist. So Divine Scorn, once per turn, start of any turn, pick up to 3 enemy wizards or priests within 6 inches of any friendly Blades of Khorne unit to be the targets. Roll a dice for each target. On a 3-up, subtract 1 from the target's power level to a minimum of 0 until the start of your next turn. And then I'll do Punish the Pacifist. And then I'll come back to you. Your combat phase, each unit, friendly and enemy manifestations that is not in combat to be the target. That's our declaration. Roll a dice. On a 1 or a 2, inflict 1 mortal damage on each target. On a 3-up, inflict 1 mortal damage on each enemy target.
These are cool. I would say, Murderlust is significantly more exciting than these. The ones after this will be more exciting, but I do think these have really great niche uses. Divine Scorn specifically, against some of the big hero casters that are getting in there, doing damage, charging out. I've been playing a lot against Arkan lately. I've been playing a lot against Nagashes lately. I've been playing against all these other big heroes. And it's a pretty great ability to have against them, especially too, again, if you're going to be getting in your opponent's face, making all their little wizards that usually are providing those buffs like 4 inches behind the front line or something like that. They're feeling this when you're unlocking it. And then Punish the Pacifist is nice. 1 mortal damage on each enemy unit. It is only in your combat phase. You're not doing it twice per turn. So it's not, every combat phase, but damaging things can add up. It is really good, and incidental damage does definitely add up as well.
Yeah, I'm not the hugest fan of Punish the Pacifist, but when you start looking at them, the triage from Punish the Pacifist into what is either Glorious Combat and Nord or Revel in Battle, and this is the only way to get Revel in Battle. Yeah. This might be the trade-off, like, yep, cool, I'll sacrifice the 1 point in order to eventually get to Revel in Battle.
You have to do it. Yeah. Like I said, these are not the exciting ones of this list here, but they are means to an end, and they do have some uses.
I will say I'm actually pretty excited about Divine Scorn because so many armies will put one of those command points away for magical intervention, and being able to subtract 1 power level. And you're right, there are some super casters out there. There's a lot of also idiot heroes who are only got a single cast or a single chat. So being able to turn that off completely, where they may have had a particular buff or debuff or a get out clause or something. I really like Divine Scorn, but it is obviously 3 inches. 6 inches. So
yeah,
it's rewarding you for being in combat. Next one, I might go round to round on this one. Murder the Mystic, love this one. Again, only for specific use cases. So you can only use Murder the Mystic if you've unlocked Divine Scorn. Pick up to 4 enemy manifestations to be the target. Make a banishment roll of 2d6 for each of the targets. But here's the kicker. If the banishment roll equals or exceeds the banishment value listed on the manifestation war scroll, inflict D3 mortal damage on each enemy unit within 3 inches of it, and then banish it and remove it from play. Love that.
I love this. It's niche, but against the armies that you want this against, oh man, is this doing work? It is so cool on what it can do. I really do like this, and it also means that you can not waste your chance or have to stand your places of power to get rid of your opponent's manifestations, which is a pretty common theme in Khorne. Is you're like, oh man, I really want to get rid of that manifestation, but I don't want to use one of my prayers on it to banish it instead, or have a guy just camp a place of power. So this is a really cool ability, and it can be really good in some situations.
Yeah, and then it's board wide. It's board wide. So if somebody summoned a manifestation and they can't move it yet, you pull this trigger, and there's something like some movement shenanigan type or debuff type thing, Soul Scream Bridge, for example, and there's many examples of this. Some cheap, easy damage coming from Murder the Mystic.
Umbral Spell Portal is another one. They're popping out right next to them. The Tzeentch Tome of Eyes, they're always popping right next to all their little wizards. There's a lot of really good little buff pieces that you don't really think about banishing because those are not your priority banishments. But when you have an ability like this, you're looking to banish those and then start popping those little heroes for that D3 damage.
Yes, and completely ignore the fact that I've got title on there. You can see I've replicated. We'll just pretend that didn't exist. I'll keep going. Next one is Glorious Combat or Naught. So this is, you can only unlock this ability if you have unlocked Divine Scorn or Punish the Pacifist. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for shooting attacks that target friendly Blades of Khorne units.
Yeah, this is a good buff. I will never complain about receiving a -1 to hit bubble, especially into shooting. It does come a little bit late, I will say. Again, this is a round 3 buff, so it is slightly late on the traits. But again, like I said, this is an additional thing. You're picking and choosing each of these based on the army that you're fighting, right? If you're not fighting somebody who is shooting you, you could ignore this. Or if you're fighting an army that is heavily shooting you, this is a phenomenal buff to start popping on turn 3.
Yeah, this one is super situational for me. There's a couple of use cases, I don't know, like long strikes in the backfield or sentinels, or, you're being pinned down by Lumineth idiots in the middle and you're just being pipped at the back. Because you're right, it is super situational. I wish I had it in turn 2.
Yeah, 2 or 1.
Oh, yeah. Like turn 3, to get to this particular level, or even if it was with Divine Scorn and Punish the Pacifist as a 3-2-2 rather than a 2-3-2, that to me would have worked a lot better. But having it is nice. I would only use it super rarely.
Yes,
and yeah,
I totally agree on I would just bump this up a tier, which I honestly could see them potentially doing eventually, but yeah, I would bump this up a tier. This seems like a great tier 2 choice again, because I like the tier 2s because they are situational, but this one is a very situational one that pops up turn 3.
I will say though that this is the only one that gives you flexibility to go into Slaughter Triumph or Cleave Wide. So if you've got a really clear path, then this is easy, but this is the only one that sits in the middle to be able to jump between those last two. So just keep that one in mind. The last one on this particular tier is Revel in Battle. It's a passive ability. You can only unlock it if you've unlocked Punish the Pacifist. Other than companion weapon abilities for combat attacks made by enemy units that charge this turn and that target a friendly Blades of Khorne unit have no effect.
Here we are, right? This is a good one here, right? We want to talk about tankiness. I'm a Nurgle player too. We just unlocked a similar prayer that does the same thing, and people are realizing how tanky this can make you. It's a good ability. You are going to be tanking and removing things like weapon abilities for combat attacks made by enemy units that charge this turn. So you're going to be removing things like +1 damage. You're removing things like crit mortals, crit auto wounds, right? All of these things that can hurt you. They don't have to be necessarily charge specific things, but it's very good. I also believe that this gets rid of anti-infantry,
etc. Anti-infantry, all of that. Yes, agreed. Yeah.
So this is my favorite one of this tier by a long shot. I think this will have use cases in effectively every one of your games, and they know that. They gave it it costs 3 blood tithe to unlock this one versus the other ones cost 2. Still not a difficult one to get to, and I will be trying to get to this quickly because I think this is phenomenal.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites to do, and unfortunately it means I'm conflicted between Divine Scorn or Revel in Battle because it's splitting me down 2 paths, and I may need to go to what I just said, or at least like turn 1 you do Divine Scorn, turn 2 punish the pacifist, turn 2 is Divine Scorn, turn 3 punish the pacifist, turn 4 Revel in Battle, and it might that there might be too late.
Yeah,
but yeah, to me, Revel in Battle, given how many crit auto wounds, crit 2 hits, crit mortals, anti this, anti that, big fan of that. The last one is Slaughter Triumph and Cleave Wide the Grin of Khorne. So this is your last tier. These are both worth 4 points. Slaughter Triumph, you can only unlock this if you've unlocked Glorious Combat or Naught or Murder the Mystic. And you get to add 1 to the attack characteristic of weapons used by friendly Blades of Khorne units that charged in the same turn.
Yeah, here's your reward for taking those other 2 that are not necessarily as good as Revel in Battle, is you're now getting +1 attacks, which when you're running the amount of models that Khorne is usually running, right? A lot of 10 blocks of dudes, 10 Blood Reavers, 10 Blood Warriors, all these little, chaff guys, like even Claws of Karanak with this is another great add. So then you're stacking +1 attacks with, Wrathmongers and other things like that. This is a phenomenal ability. Again, you're pushing that tempo. You want to close out a game with quickly. Starting this round 4 will definitely do it. You'll probably have Blood Drenched active at that point. You'll also have crit mortals on a lot of your mortal guys as well. Oh, sorry, you cut it there.
Okay. No. I got some cogs turning in a second. I want to finish this thought. I'm going to bring you back to something I'm wondering if my little destruction brain has clicked onto something, but keep going. I love this, by the way.
Yeah, this is good. It synergizes with everything that we have in our arsenal. We want +1 attacks. It makes every single unit a threat. And that's very critical for those last 2 turns of a game to make sure that we can push us over the edge to win it.
Yeah, super tidy, clean up, extra damage, like whatever you've got left on the table. Even in a losing situation, you've just amplified the damage significantly, and that actually might be enough to swing some battle tactics or some things your way. So that's pretty solid. I agree, and it's obviously very basic, right? +1 attack. It's great.
No one's ever going to say that's bad. Yeah, it's great.
Whatever you got, it's great. Cleave Wide the Grin of Khorne is you only unlock it if you have used Revel in Battle or Glorious Combat or Naught. And this is add 1 to the hit rolls for combat attacks made by friendly Blades of Khorne units.
Yes. So for those cornies out there, this might not seem like a great buff to start. However, we will get to a little unit called the Realm Gore Ritualist that might have a different ability now, where you're no longer getting a, 10-inch piece of terrain with a +1 to hit bubble. So this will be very good. We lost, and we'll get to it, we lost several ways to get +1 to hit. We did gain other bonuses from those ways you're getting +1 to hit before. So I do think this is still very good as well. It definitely helps push us to swing better and close out those games. That's what we're trying to do with those last 2 sections of Blood Tithe there.
All right, now I'm going to turn my little destruction brain on for a second. You smart chaos players, you might need to help me here, Alec. I was just thinking about this pathway, and I know we've been talking a lot about the timing sequence and when we can access things, but I'm going back to Skulls for the Skull Throne, where it says once per battle round, start of any turn. Doesn't say start of the battle round, it says start what's once per battle round. So if the battle sequence goes, my opponent charges me in turn 1, let's say, for example, turn 1, I'm in combat and I'm able to kill a unit, or at least a unit dies, right? And I've got one blood type point when I go into my bottom of turn 1. Does it not mean I can unlock a I can unlock one of these at the bottom of turn 1 if I've generated a point at the top of turn 1? Because once per battle round, start of any turn. So if I've got a point at the start.
So don't you have to unlock Murderlust on round 1? So
no, but I'm saying, like, if I got 1 point, if what I'm saying is that I can unlock Divine Scorn. Can I not do that? Because
if it depends. So again, you have the book in front of you. Do you start with Murderlust unlocked, or you have to unlock Murderlust?
So you must,
So that means that on top of 1, before the game started, effectively, you unlock Murderlust in round 1.
And then turn 2, I would do Divine Scorn or Punish Paths.
That would be round 2. Yeah. So, assuming that, again, Murderlust is not auto-unlocked, you have to unlock that for 0 Blood Tithe, then yes, you have to start there. I'm not
seeing any references on.
I will say one thing that, based on what you have written here, that I'm noticing is that Divine Scorn and Punish the Pacifist don't seem to require Murderlust to be unlocked.
No, they don't. No.
So then you could do what you are saying, where you could wait until the bottom of round 1, or let's say you could wait until the end of the top of turn. So you go for the second turn of round 1. If you have 1 Blood Tithe, you could unlock Divine Scorn or Punish the Pacifist in round 1. Not a ton of scenarios. I think that the situations where that would pop up in is if your opponent is an alpha army, right? If you're playing against somebody who's playing like 12 Paladors, 18 Paladors, 12 Varangard, they're going to slambo you round 1. This could get you Divine Scorn and Punish the Pacifist. But that is a decision you're making. Most of the time, you'll probably be unlocking Murderlust, because Khorne doesn't have a ton of ways for us to kill one of their units on top of 1. There's only certain battle plans and certain combinations of units, but there are niche scenarios. So yeah, that is interesting. I didn't, based on the original image that was sent over, it looked like Murderlust was needed for those 2, but it actually is not. They're kind of all in a tier 1 of their own.
And that's exactly how, by the way, it actually says on it actually, like, what I've replicated is literally what's in the Battletome.
Okay.
You're right. And this is kind of where, like, I was ticking to say, right, well, Murderlust isn't free. So it is free, but it's not like it's immediately unlocked. I guess if your opponent has a Kragnos, for example, and a 3d6 charge in your face, you've got a blood type point already, maybe you've got some skull cannons, you've killed something already, then you're in combat, you could choose to unlock Punish the Pacifist because you've got 1 blood type point.
Yep.
You haven't done anything you haven't opened anything in the battle round. So anyway, we are talking super niche scenarios here, and it's not something that's common, which is why my little Destruction Bane was clicking.
Yeah.
That
I actually
was like,
even more. How many cannon armies are we seeing out there with cities, right? This is almost a deterrent to say, hey, don't shoot me turn 1, right? If they're taking first, shoot me, and I now get deeper into my table sooner, right? And stuff like that. So I actually think this could be a little bit less niche than it is. It's really funny how that graphic in the book is listed out, because it's not necessarily true. But if they're not an alpha army, or they choose not to kill something of yours, you could still just unlock Murderlust at the bottom of round 1, right? Like at the start of the second thing there. So yeah, that's a really good pickup there. It did seem via the visual to be that way, but yeah, I think you're totally right. We do not have to unlock Murderlust first, and we can wait until the start of the second turn of round 1 to unlock Murderlust, or if we have a point unlock Divine Scorn.
Alec, I want to rewind for a second. I've just picked up something in the book that I haven't written. It says you do not need to unlock this ability to use it. It is already unlocked. So basically everything we've just said, folks, here, just know that you can do it a turn earlier.
Okay.
Like, I've just noticed this in the book. It says,
I like this more now.
Yeah. Like, folks, I have to literally write this whole thing up. Like, I'm not allowed to technically show you the Battletome like this. But boom. Boom, amazing. You do not need to unlock this. It is already unlocked, which means exactly what my little destruction brain was saying. I can go turn 1, Divine Scorn, or Punish the Pacifist, should this ability go, which means technically we could use Glorious Combat in North.
We just talked about some of these things being much better in turn 2, etc. Let's take a little look at all these with a new approach. Divine Scorn and Punish the Pacifist. If I'm unlocking those in round 1, that's awesome. And it also means that I might be taking lists that might take a Claws of Karnak that then have a Bloodstoker give them run and charge. And then I'm auto running my guys, pre-game move, auto running 12 inches. Now you're moving 18 inches up the board, charging, and I might charge into their Vanguard or something like that. Hey, kill my guy because on your turn at bottom of 1, I'm now unlocking Divine Scorn or Punish the Pacifist, right? And that's an awesome thing to start unlocking. So getting that out there, moving into Murder the Mystic, Glorious Combat or not, is a really good anti-shooting at turn 2. Rebel in Battle is a phenomenal tank. We already thought it was great when we 10 minutes ago said it was in turn 2. It's if I'm unlocking that in turn 2, I'm happy. And then getting to +1 attacks or +1 to hit turn 3 if I can. Again, this will not be every game because based on how this is, there has to be death pretty much top of 1 because you have to activate this ability start of the second turn in round 1. So that means there has to be death in top of 1 for you to unlock those two. So this will not be every game, but when those games have that, Khorne is equaling the tempo of whatever the opponent is pushing, I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of what we just said changes too much, other than probably Glorious Combat and Naught, where it probably becomes a bit more valuable now that we're talking about potentially unlocking it in turn 2 rather than turn 3. Yep. So I'm glad my little destruction bane started clicking, and I'm like, because it doesn't feel right. Like, why am I doing this at this? It didn't feel right. Like, just make it an ability and let me start accessing this from turn 2. Why complicate it? That explains a lot more. So, thanks for enjoying the ride, folks. While literally rewrite the whole thing. My life would be easier if I just showed you the thing.
We got there. We're good.
Alec, any final thoughts on the battle traits before we get into the rest of the stuff? There's a lot to go through.
Yeah, it's like I said, we have totally revamped battle traits. This is a whole new system. It will feel different. Again, it's still Khorne. It'll feel a lot more like the Madduck Khorne. Guess what? We want to kill things, right? All of these abilities are helping us kill things one way or another. Losing some tricks, gaining some damage. So it's good.
Love that. We have some battle formation tweaks. We've said this already, so you'll notice I've tried to use magenta where there has been a change, and you can see Murder Host completely changed. Brass Stampede completely changed. Coordinate Legion, minor change, where we've now included the Holy Within 12, where previously it was just Within. Obviously, that's an interesting rule because now it just makes it a little harder to stay within the bubble. But with the tweaks to Murder Host, so Murder Host is now happening at the end of your turn. Each friendly Blades of Khorne demon unit that has used a fight ability this turn and is not in combat can now move D6. It cannot move that move in combat. While the Brass Stampede is add X to charge rolls for friendly Blades of Khorne units, where X is the number of friendly Blades of Khorne cavalry or monster units that have already charged this phase, and that are wholly within 12 of the unit that's being rolled for.
I love that. Is a stampede, right? At the end of the day, what are we talking about? As you hit one charge, you're hitting more charges and more charges and more charges. I love that change to Brass Stampede. I think the previous 8-up Strike First was cool. A little bit more of a slot machine. I like the fact that they just want you to get in and fight. Because to me, I'd rather get in and fight than maybe sometimes have Strike First. So I think that is super cool. Murder Host is interesting. Not a lot of people were necessarily taking it before. I don't think that ability necessarily doesn't change how demon factions fight. But it is a really cool ability. It means if you're clearing things out, you're moving on it again, pushing up, right? Screens are a lot less effective against a demon army where you're jumping into a screen, clearing it out, and then you're moving D6 forward towards their thing. They can't hide as far back from like a 10-inch screen or something like that. Also help you get objectives, etc.
You've traded your 5-up ward for your friendly Blades of Khorne demon non-master unit. Yeah. Like you're trading the ward for free movement. To your point, you're repositioning, you're making charges and counter charges easier, you're putting more bodies onto an objective, there's a whole bunch of shenanigans, and I guess it's like a free power through for your bloodletters and things like that.
They do have to not be in combat to use the ability. So it's not necessarily like a power through because they would have had to fully clear the thing. But yes, you get the movement and reorganization is critical.
Like a power through. I'm not saying it is a power through. I'm saying it's giving you movement shenanigans like a power through. It's not costing you anything. True. Thank you for getting technical on me. Yes, technically it's not, but anyway, Any thoughts here? I mean, obviously you've given me your initial observations. I'm not too bothered by some of this stuff. I mean, some people who like the ward are going to be upset and they're not going to be able to have that really durable bloodletter block of 20 just going in, murdering and having the 5-up ward.
Bloodletters are not as durable, and we'll get to their update soon. So I think this will be good for the change in play style that bloodletters will have to adapt to, because they're getting Ren now, right? Like we're now bumping with the battle trait. We're now bumping them up to Ren 2, stuff like that. So they want to kill more, much less of a grindy unit. They want to hit, kill, move on, and that's, I think, gives them that ability.
Yeah, so the reinforced bloodletter unit still has play, but you're not playing off the tankiness. You're playing off something completely different, and you're probably building into, as you said, delete. By the way, I love this new version of Brass Stampede much more than for someone who can barely roll a 7+. This is glorious.
Yeah, I do like it a lot.
Cool. Next up, we have again some big changes here. In fact, they're all new, yes, because you used to have Firebrand, Relentless Hunters, and Favored of Khorne. All 3 of them are gone. You now have Magical Scorn, Frenzied Taskmaster, and Skull Collector. So Magical Scorn is subtract 1 from casting rolls for wizards while they're wholly within 12, and subtract 1 from chanting rolls from priests while they're wholly within while they're within 12. You have Frenzied Taskmaster in your movement phase. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne infantry or cavalry unit in this unit's combat range and not in combat to be the target. That target can then move D6, but it cannot end that move in combat. If the target ends a move within the unit's combat range, inflict the amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. And then finally, you've got the Skull Collector, where at the end of any turn, if there are damage points that were allocated to an enemy hero by this unit's combat attacks this turn, and that enemy hero has been destroyed, add 1 to the attack characteristic of this unit's melee weapons for the rest of the battle. This unit can be affected by this multiple times, and the effects are cumulative, so we can get +2, +3, +X.
Yeah, Magical Scorn's a little bit of a miss for me. I think subtracting 1 from those rolls within 12 is a little bit tough to do. But the other 2, I could definitely see picking and playing. I think Frenzy Taskmaster is a really good one. Again, let's get those guys up. Let's get them charging. Let's get them in combat. You didn't move up far enough away from me, I'm going to deal damage to you. I think that's a funny little thing, right? You roll a 1 and you didn't get out of that guy's combat zone, you take the damage. I like that. And then Skull Collector is great for a hero-centric build, because you can get guys with some pretty good attacks, additional attacks that get a big Bloodthirster, start killing things, start getting more Bloodthirster attacks. Boom Thirsters getting more boom attacks. Right, this is a fun ability that will definitely be taken.
Yeah, Skull Collector is number 1 for me, like just straight up number 1. Frenzied Taskmaster, you're basically 50-50 hurting yourself.
Depending on if your guy's in front or not, but yes, you could be.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're just the closest and you're not just outside. If you're just out, you're just in 3, then yeah, obviously it's a free D6 move. So you just have to be really careful of your positioning.
Yeah.
I could see Magical Storming really punishing again for magical intervention, but again, are you going to take a hero trait purely based off this one situation? Probably not, unless we go into some crazy magic meta like we saw in the early 5th edition. But
or maybe some niche team scenarios where you're a whole anti-magic army, right? Khorne, that could be it. But the other two are good picks. It's better. Our previous one had pretty much only one pick, which was start with a Blood Tithe. So I'm glad to no longer have to auto-select that at the start of my Khorne list and actually be able to look at hero traits and have some fun deciding which I think would be better for my list.
I don't know. Priest Bloodthirster is always pretty popular.
Cool.
It's always popular. Yeah, cool. There's some interesting things here for me. Yeah. I think I think Skull Collector is number one. I'll fight anyone to the very end.
I like it.
But I'm also like a Bloodthirster. Like I've always said that like the minute Valkyr comes back, like I love that model.
Yeah.
I will play a Bloodthirster list. But I don't know. That's why I'm
It's really cool. I'm sure Tama will love the Skull Collectors here with his Bloodthirster lists.
I can see that being very popular. We also have some changes to artifacts. So we have Agarth is still around. It's changed just to be a passive ability rather than any combat phase.
I have forgotten to declare that activation before in a tournament, and I thus did not get it. So it's a great update. I think that's just from a quality of life. Thank you.
Yeah, like, I was looking at that change. I'm like, so what? And like, other than what you just said, and like, if you want to get super rulesy and have not declared it because I haven't picked the hero in combat with this model, like, wait a second, if I'm only fighting 1-1 and I haven't declared it, like, it should just be a passive ability. It's done. Cool. Quality of life. The rule is still the rule. Collar of Contempt is still the same. It has not changed at all. But what you have gained is you've lost the Halo of Blood, which was that ignoring negative modifiers to the unit's control scores and hit rolls and wound rolls for the attack. Instead, you've traded it for the Butcher's Blade, where at the end of your turn, pick each enemy unit that has had any damage points allocated to this unit by the unit's combat attacks to be the target. Roll a d3 for each target. On a 2-up, inflict some mortal damage on the target equal to the roll.
I think this, again, some niche scenarios where this could be good. I already liked Collar and Argath. I had lists with both of those in it. I think Butcher's Blade is a potential as well. I would need to think more on it and do some more list building once we have all the points and stuff to figure out whether or not I really like that. But again, I'll take the passive change in Argath. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I was just thinking through like Butcher's Blade combined with, let's say we've got like a Bloodthirster, right? Got my Skull Collector here. I've also then tied it up with the Butcher's Blade. I've got one or two extra damage points that could potentially trigger the +1 attack.
Yep.
Maybe rolling the D3 on a 2-up will get me the extra points. Like, okay, cool. There's a lot of situations and a lot of fail points. Yeah. Would I be just better off because most of those heroes would have a ward?
Exactly.
And I think, and like, long story short, Argath is probably going to be the better option compared to the two, unless there's a situation I'm not thinking about where the Blade would be better than Argath.
I was trying to think if it would work with like Boom Thirster's booms, right? Where his booms then activate it, where it's a D3 on every unit he boomed on, but I don't think that's how the rules work on that specific one there. So, maybe someone smarter than us will figure out a fantastic use for that one. But like you said, I think a Bloodthirster wants Argath. You're fighting heroes. Heroes have wards in this game. A lot of them do, especially the hard to kill ones. So that's a really good use for me.
Maybe it's like a bloodletter hero or something that's supporting them. There's a couple of wounds left on the unit. Again, the D3 maybe unlocks them. Then they get the 6-inch. There's a lot of conditions here. Like, there's a lot of like, if it is, where Argath is just like, no what?
Yep.
No what? Yep. Collar is just not happening.
Yeah, I actually have gotten a lot of value out of the D3 Mortals back to the caster on Collar, so I'm a big fan of that one too. When I don't have an Unbind list, I just put that on something because I don't also have a Killy hero. I like Collar. it's good.
Yeah, and it makes it like you look at butchers and like, the other two are still good. Like the other two are just stronger without the conditions.
Definitely.
Now we've had some changes in the press. So
like we said, everything was touched in this book in terms of stuff
changes.
Yeah,
so many changes. Blood Boil hasn't changed. Yay!
Love that.
So you've lost the Witchbane curse. So Witchbane curse has changed to be final acts of violence kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say there's nothing even similar to what it was changed to. I don't think anybody was ever chanting that one in the first place. I don't think I've ever seen somebody chant Witchbane curse. The losing the Rend prayer was probably the biggest, but as you'll read with these out, there are some good additions.
Yeah, and I was going to say the Uncontrollable Rage is your new Unholy Flame. So I say that because Unholy Flames is your unlimited, Witchbane Curse was not unlimited. Uncontrollable Rage, chanting value 4, it's unlimited. Pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant, blah, blah, blah. Visible, friendly unit, wholly within 12 inches. And then if you're successful until the start of your next turn, the effects of the blood-drenched ability, which is what we talked about, that little table where we get access the table before the half the units die from the table, you can access it. And if you do it this way as well, you also ignore the negative effect, which was that wild eye brutality. Remember, we couldn't get any positive modifiers to our saves. Well, this overrides that. So you can access the good stuff without actually having to get the bad stuff.
And these are much more friendly chanting values. The previous one was on a 5 and a 10. This is a 4 and an 8, which is way easier to get. I love this, right? Activate crit mortals on Blood Warriors, right? How many attacks are Blood Warriors going in with? 3, 4, 5. Add crit mortals to those. We're talking now, and on an 8-up, I could still all-out defense. This is some good stuff for Blood Warrior lovers, and also anything. You're giving Ren to your demons. You're giving and Ren to their companions, and then you're giving damage to your thirsters. This is I am happy with this. Lost Ren, sure. Gained this, which is really cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is a magical intervention to make sure you got those priest points, so you can go for the 8, because that 8 is going to really supercharge one particular unit that is accessing the good stuff without the negatives. And if you don't care about the negatives, then just go for the 4 and just spam the 4. Just go.
I'm going to throw that 4 on some 20 blocks of Blood Reavers and throw those guys in with +1 attacks, and they're going to start doing a lot of crit mortals. It's going to be glorious.
Yeah, and if you can mathematically work out that you will just do enough damage to not have to worry about the fight back, then you don't need the 8.
Exactly.
The other spell we talked to prayer, sorry, not spell. Geez, I'm going to be struck down by Khorne. Final act of violence, which is replacing the Witchbane curse. So again, pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant, picking a friendly visible Blades of Khorne within 12, wholly within 12. Until the start of your next turn, each time a model in the target unit is slain by a combat attack, and that model was in combat with the attacking unit, roll a dice. If the chanting roll was an 8+, you roll 2 dice instead. For each 5-up, inflict 1 mortal damage on the attacking unit after the fight has been resolved.
This is great. Like we said, Witchbane Curse is not getting chanted before. This is going to get chanted, right? I'm going to put this on my guys that I want to die in, right? You could just supercharge a Blood Reaver unit. You could supercharge any unit you want and say, hey, you get crit mortals, and when you die, I get 5-up mortals back, right? I'm just going to do as many mortals as possible when I send you in, right? You're moving them D6 up with the frenzied guy. You're giving them run and charge. There's so many cool things that you're doing with this. It's a great ability. This is a huge upgrade.
Yeah, and it goes nicely with anything that can be reinforced. Just absolutely, love it. Delicious. And again, if you can go for the 8, brilliant. If not,
I'm happy with it with just the regular one, right? Yeah, it's good regardless.
Well, 1 in 3. 1 in 3 will, on average, do a mortal back. So
20 deals dying, doing 6 mortals back is a good amount.
And you still have a blood type.
Yes.
And you get that blood type
It is really fun playing a game of Age of Sigmar when your units die and you get to chant something like, that's a blood tithe, right? And so you're always having fun no matter who's dying on the board.
As long as the blood is flowing and there are skulls for Khorne, I would probably say, Alec, that this is a glow up with the condition that Unholy Flame has disappeared. So yes, I empathize, and it definitely will impact. If he's getting the extra rend is always delicious, especially the 10 up getting the +1 to wound as well was really delicious. This is, I wouldn't say a good trade, but I don't feel like you've gone backwards. I think it was fair. It's a fair trade.
Once we get into what else things are doing, we're getting +1 to wound guys in several other ways. We don't need that from our chant anymore, which was critical before. Don't need it as much anymore because we have other ways to get it. So I'm happy.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Although rend a million is always a good thing as well.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to rend it extra?
Mortals, you don't even need to roll saves. There you go. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to wrap up the chapter because we've got new stuff and then we have old stuff and then we have Armies of Renown. Closing thoughts so far. We've obviously gone through in fairly detail the battle traits. We've obviously got some changes in the artifacts, your heroic traits, your battle formations. We've had some changes in the prayer lore. How are you feeling so far as a Khorne player based on what we know so far?
I'm happy. I'm even happier learning that new Murderlust change. I have liked everything coming through. I also think Khorne players can rejoice in the fact that their army is no longer making people have negative play experiences. Murderlust was a big factor of that. And Brass Skull Meteor was another big factor of that. It was not always fun to play against it. So I think Khorne has tools still and will be better for both players on the table, right? You pair into a Khorne player and you're like, things are going to die, right? Versus you pair into a Khorne player and you go, I Murderless into you and nothing happens, right? Right. So it's stuff like that. I think games will be more fun with this army. I think there'll be better play experiences. So I'm happy so far.
I'm also happy that I caught that little line.
Great. Yeah.
I'd be kicking myself in this video at the end if I picked it up after in like post-production. But yeah, like overall, I think I'm feeling pretty good. I don't play Khorne. It's not my army. I play a lot of Khorne or play into a lot of Khorne opponents. I think what you said about Murderlust as well is very, very valuable. That is a better experience, and it'll be a better experience for yourself and your opponent. So it's not just you're trading off to make friends. Actually, I think still being able to reroll one dice on a counter charge or even any charge, that's great. And then so many other good things you can tap into. So I don't think you've lost a lot. In fact, you've just gained more tools. So big win from me.
Definitely.
You've only gained one new unit, and that is your Deathbringer, which is replacing your Exalted Deathbringer and your Aspiring Deathbringer and any other insert name here Deathbringer. We have one Deathbringer to rule them all. It is the Deathbringer, move 5, save 3, control 2, health 6. It has the Kingslayer Axe, which is 4 attacks, 3 3s, rend 1 for 3 damage. 3 damage. That's insane. From a little idiot. I'm just going to while you talking, I'm going to triple check that I was correct there because that is insane.
I'm hoping so, because if it's 3 damage, he's about the same damage dealing as the previous Deathbringer. So the Aspiring Deathbringer was 7 attacks at 2 damage each for a maximum of 14. This is 4 attacks at 3 damage each for a maximum of 12. We're right on 3.
I'm definitely correct on 3. It is
awesome. That is great. Yeah. And he's got crit 2 hits now. He didn't have a crit ability before, and those crit mortals. You hit 2 mortals with this guy, it's 6 damage you're pumping through. He's good. I like him. So yeah, you didn't lose the damage potential, and you got the +1 to hit. So you're at 3s to hit instead of 4s to hit. Which is good.
You've also got that blood hungry rule that we referred to earlier. So everything we talk about with the table, not the blood tithe table, the other table, that interacts with blood hungry, there it is in action. So without that table, it's doing nothing. But when we touch the table, whether it's through the prayer or from half the units dying, we touch the blood hungry rule. It took me for a while. I'm like, well, what's this blood hungry thing? Like, what is this ability? Like, I'm trawling and trawling, and then anyway, you got 2 rules. The trophies of the glorious death, which is a reaction. Opponent declares a command for a unit within 8 inches of this unit. Roll a dice. On a 5-up, the command has no effect, and it still counts as being used, and the resource has been spent. And then you've also got Killer of Kings, which is an end of turn army, end of any turn. Or sorry, once per turn, any end of any turn. Pick each enemy unit and manifestation in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll 2d6 for the target. If the roll exceeds the target's health characteristic, 1 model from this unit is slain. Or if the target is a manifestation, it is automatically destroyed. Remembering Cron Spines and a few other things cannot be automatically destroyed. Purple Sun, things like that. You only just take off 6 damage.
I think these are good abilities, right? We did lose the chain fighting Blood Warriors. I think, that's good. It was cute when we could give it strike first, but we'll get to that. That also might have changed. And this new ability with the 5-up does not limit how many Deathbringers you have. I got 3 Deathbringers within 8 inches of you. I'm rolling 3 5-ups to stop your command. That's good. It's really good. Redeploy stop, countercharge stop. Think about you could charge something, be 3 inches out of their hammer unit, and they now have to spend 2 CP to fail a countercharge when I roll this 5-up. This guy is going to be a menace. And so I love him. And then Killer of Kings is really good. You're slaying the little guys really easy because you're picking little troops, 1-2 health, rolling 2d6 for each target, right? You're rolling over that 1 or 2 HP. You're slaying manifestations. You're slaying you can ignore the little heroes. If you have a 5 wound hero in combat with you, you literally just ignore him and roll the 2d6 and roll a 6-up and slay that guy. So it's really, really cool.
Question for you.
Yes.
We legitimately don't know this answer, folks, so don't read into this. What do you reckon he's worth? Because we know that the current Deathbringers range between 80 to 100 points right now. Is that the bandwidth that we think? Is there a glow up that we probably reckon it pushes into like the 120 mark or beyond? Like what are you expecting? And then also maybe what's the maximum you would pay for this? And if it breached it, obviously it sits on the shelf for a little.
I think 80's too cheap. My meme list right now that I'm playing with Khorne, not even a meme list, is 16 aspiring Deathbringers at 80 points. It's not nice with Murderlust and all that stuff. I think if he was 80 points, you could bring 16, 25 of this guy. The command's ability alone would be a nightmare to deal with. So I don't think it'll be 80. 100 I would take him at 100. I wouldn't spam him at 100. I think if he starts pushing above 120, I'm probably out because I think this guy's better in multiples because of that 5-up. I think one dude with that 5-up ability is good, but a little bit too swingy and unreliable when you want it. So I would personally say if he's pushing 120, 130, 140, I'm a little bit more suspect on him. I think 100 to 120 is a sweet spot for him.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I'm looking at the Exalted Deathbringer, who's the 100 points right now. This has a better to hit profile. Obviously the crit 2 hits as well, but it doesn't have. Yeah, it doesn't have the heal 5 or the Deathbringer weapons for the +1 attack characteristic and things like that. But equally, you've got some equally valuable, maybe if not more valuable abilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, like 100 to 120 is what I would predict, or at least like 140, I'd have to have a really good game plan. Like anything like 130, 140, I'd have to be very, very specific of what I'm doing with it. But 100 to 120, I'd probably, if I've got points, I would definitely consider this.
Yeah, I would love if he's 110, 3 of these dudes for 330, I'm in. Put them together, put them in the middle of the battlefield, make everything annoying and have to reconsider the command points around them. Yeah, I'm in for that. I'm probably not paying 400 points for 3 of these guys. He's still 6 health. He's still 5-inch move. He still has no ward, right? So,
but I just noticed this as well. Maybe this is pushing the 120 mark to 130 mark. Is this guy has a 3-up armor save where the Exalted Deathbringer has a 5-up save. So you probably
the 80-point guy had a 3-up there at 6 wounds. So he was that's why I'm playing 16 of them, right? He's the 6 wounds on a 3-up. He's really good. So I bump him to the higher guy's points with the better save. But the other guy had a 5-up ward base. The Exalted Deathbringer had a 5-up save, but 5-up ward, which makes him almost as tanky at 3-up save.
Yeah. I do see that. Cool. Okay, I think we both agree. Solid unit, not an auto include, points dependent. We're roughly around the 100 to 120 point mark. Anything more, we've got to ask ourselves some serious questions on how we're getting the most out of this unit. I think anything above 140 makes it a deal breaker. Again, unless, like 130 is like really pushing it. Like, Anything else to say about the Deathbringer? Because we've got a lot to say about the War Scrolls, the other War Scrolls.
Yeah. I will say we'll come back to this guy when we hit the Armies of Renown, and I will hype him up more. So we'll wait there.
See, and there are some good Armies of Renown.
Yeah.
Something for everybody. Now, we're going to do this a little different than anyone else has watched these previews in the past. Normally, I would go War Scroll from War Scroll, like, what do we think? What's this? Guess what? I've got 2 pages of notes, as I've already referred to. So let's go. I'm just going to drop this through, right? Like you can see how many changes. Oh, Ruin Christmas, to Bath. A lot of changes here. Now, I'm going to maybe pause and reflect for a second and say, when we look at this screen, this is the demon side, and I'll go to the mortals and manifestations in a minute. What are the stuff here that really stands out for you, either as like a glow up or something that is like significantly impacted?
So right off the bat, Bloodthirster, Wrath of Khorne, he now can pick non-unique Blades of Khorne demon units to be the target. He used to only be able to add 1 attacks with his ability to Thirsters. So he would add it to 3 different Thirsters. I think maybe other than himself, it could have been himself too, but he would add 1 attack to 3 different Thirsters. He now adds attack to only 1 unit, but that unit is any non-unique demon. So he can give 20 Bloodletters plus 1 attacks. That is huge. That is a big change for the demon side, right? That is a 50% increase in damage when we're talking about that Bloodletter block. And we already talked about how they want to get in and kill. So I think that is a super important change for him. He also got the add 1 to hit rolls. I like this guy a lot now.
Cool. I'm gonna call that one that I think is probably the most negative impact, and that's our Fetid Fury. And now you've lost the 3d6 charge. What you do get is a 3rd dice, and you discard the lowest. So it means you might not necessarily need to use Murderlust, but it's a straight downgrade. Like 3d6 charge, not being able to get aggressive in combat. I played a game the other day where my opponent was able to get my treasured units because of 3d6 charges and just absolutely slingshotting and getting some really big charge rolls. That wouldn't have happened now with this new particular unit. So this is a downgrade.
Yeah, that it is definitely a bummer. It is more in line with how they seem to be wanting to do it. I've noticed that they've taken away a couple 3d6 charge. I mean, they did just take away Slaves of Darkness 3d6 charge and make it the same thing. So I'm not surprised, but yes, that is a bummer. Some quality of life things, Blood Crushers getting their +2 to move on their base war scroll. So now you don't have the 2 scrolls with different move characteristics, which was funny between the Soggy and theirs. They did lose anti-infantry. They did gain attack. The mounts gained anti-cavalry, which is sweet. And they lost their lame, 2-up, failable 2-up D3 mortals, but they did gain a really cool ability there with being able to charge through enemy models, and they now lock in enemy cavalry. They're really taking on that anti-cavalry role, right? Charging into cavalry, towing into tag a cavalry, and getting them to no longer pile in, say like, hey, we're the big scary horses in this situation. I think it's such a cool ability for those base Blood Crushers.
There's 2 other any other ones from you, because there's 2 ones that I'm dying to talk about.
Yeah, Bloodmaster, Herald of Khorne Bloodthrone is the one. Losing Blood.
I wasn't gonna do that one. You go. All right, go for it.
Yeah, losing Blood Call. We can no longer revive dead demon units. That is gone. It is not transferred somewhere else. And in the same way, if you look right above it with bloodletters also don't bring back D3 models in combat anymore. They gain additional ability, which is cool and good, but I think it's changing the narrative of the army. It's no longer sit there, grind, 5-up ward. It's now +1 attacks, +1 rend, charge it, kill, move D6 forward, do things like that. So the narrative of the demon army, I think, is changing completely. I think it's honestly maybe going to be the more aggressive of the two styles, where mortals were more aggressive before, demons were more grindy. I think it might have flip-flopped when we look at it. Go ahead, not the ones you want to call out.
Cool. I want to call out the Skull Taker and Karanak.
Yeah.
Because this is all about shenanigans. So Skull Taker, I'm calling out a new rule called the Drawn of by Blood. Once per battle, end of enemy turn. Pick an enemy hero unit that is used to fight ability this turn to be the target. Then remove this unit from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield in combat with the target and not in combat with any other enemy unit. What?
It's so cool. I saw this and I was like, I love this. It's awesome. So awesome. So thematic. This dude is finding you injured in the corner and he is going to end the hero's life. It's so cool.
This is an assassin. This is a straight up assassin. I'm going to put this out there. I would automatically take a Skull Crusher in every list.
Skull Taker,
Skull this, skull that, crush you, black this. Skull Taker, for that alone.
Yeah.
Being able to like literally pick up this model, sit it on a backfield, do some things, and then just yeet teleport and go into, especially like, I'm not going to be going targeting like some Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon style, 20 wound Prince Vordry style, but being able to go out and snipe those small buff piece heroes or being able to go hunt those units down who they're fighting very protected with their unit. Mm-hmm. Now I can go in and just, I don't know, I feel like that is a really nice little ability.
It is. And if anybody's played Tzeentch lately, that Thaumaturge is doing about the same thing. And it's one of the most fun things in Tzeentch. This guy is doing something very similar. If he stays at 130, I could easily see myself putting him in a lot of lists. I was already taking him before in Khornate Legion, and he's so cool. I love it.
I was going to say points dependent. I absolutely points dependent. And then Karanak, like the Stalk the Prey. This is amazing. Your movement phase, pick this unit and a friendly Fleshhounds unit to be the target. Remove the targets from the battlefield and set them up again on the battlefield more than 6 inches from the unit's quarry and more than 9 inches from all other enemy units. The unit of Fleshhounds must also be set up wholly within 12 inches of this unit. So we can obviously look at the existing war scroll with the quarry and how it all works, but again, some really interesting movement shenanigans there from Karanak.
One thing to call out is what you did put at the top there is that you're no longer picking the quarry at the start of the game and then keeping it the whole game. It looks now to be the fact that you're changing it on each of your movement phases, which is really cool because you could now find a new hero that's out alone, teleport him and Fleshhounds into the area 6 inches away and get easy charges into them. So I think that's really cool. I do love his new ability. He was already really cool before. I think he's still very cool.
Yeah. Anything else from the demon side?
Some small changes to Fleshhounds. They're more of their anti-wizards now than they were, losing the +2 to charge. And the Skull Can is now damage to instead of D3. Yeah, not too much there. There's a lot of exciting changes on that page. Like I said, some of these abilities drastically changed and they're so cool now. And I'm excited to list build on how to utilize these to their fullest potential.
Did you mention the Blood Crusher rule and its impact to stopping pile-ins from any cab?
Yeah. I did. Yeah. They're full anti-cavalry now. And I think cavalry is really good. We're in a movement game. Objectives are farther apart than they've ever been the last couple years. People are taking cavalry. Again, these guys, if you put cavalry next to something, they could charge that something, toe into that 3 inches of the cavalry, and now they can't get hit back other than that one dude you're towing into. Blood Crushers are good. I like them.
Could be a really good recipient for Murderlust to then get that 8 up.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because you do need to pass over the cavalry in order to lock them in. So you do need to get a little bit of a higher charge than normal sometimes, but it is really cool stuff. And I do believe, just re-looking at it, rethinking about it too, you could charge even like through them. You could go over the top of them and then out of combat with them. And even if you charge the cavalry with something else, it looks like the cavalry still can't pile in. So it could keep the enemy cavalry from hitting you back with your infantry unit that you charged on the side because they can't pile in at all. Looks cool. I like it.
The Blood Crusher. It's a passive ability. It's not even
doesn't have to be in combat. You just have to that 8 up.
Yeah, if this unmodified charge roll for the unit is 8 up, for the rest of the phase, it can pass through models in the enemy unit. Any unit cavalry pass through this unit
cannot make pile-ins. Doesn't matter if they're in combat with the Blood Crushers. Yeah.
Yes, if you had like a unit of cavalry at the front, and like let's say it was a 3-inch charge, you get into them, and you roll an 8, for example, you pass through the cavalry, you don't end combat into cavalry, and you end into a secondary unit behind the scenes. You've still passed through them, so they can't pile in if you were to charge them again with a different unit. Obviously, if you didn't charge a second unit, they can't pile in anyway because they're not in combat. But anyway, yeah, it's some real interesting strategies you can play out there.
Yeah. But it's less feels bad because you do have to hit those big numbers, and you're still putting things into combat. You're not tagging things and not fighting in a lot of these scenarios. You have to get those charges and get in, right? That's the overall theme of the book.
Love it. And then we also have some units for the mortals and manifestations. Same question. Anything that really stood out for you? I know you referred to the Realm Gore Ritualists before. What stands out for you on this page?
So Realm Gore Ritualist was in every single list I ever wrote for Khorne on the mortal side. His +1 to hit bubble was monumental. It's now a +1 to wound bubble. Still a great benefit, great buff. It now pairs even better with +1 to hit. You can get +1 to hit in so many ways. All at attack. Bloodbound Warhorde, the battle formation. You can get +1 to hit from the Blood Tithe ability, right? That we now know could be round 3 instead of round 4. So stuff like that can already get you to +1 to hit. He now gives +1 to wound to that big terrain piece in the middle of the board or objective in the middle of the board. That's awesome. And then Mighty Lord of Khorne is no longer giving +1 to charge. He's giving +1 to wound. So I'm thinking I'm going to put this in the middle, Mighty Lord of Khorne off to the side with another hunting pack of mortals. He's moving up with a mobile +1 to wound bubble. I have another +1 to wound bubble over here. I think those are great damage dealing changes for the army.
I'm a big fan of the Skull Grinder changes. So you've got an extra 2 attacks. Oh, sorry. You've got a 2+2 wound on the Brazen Anvil. But then you've got this Bone Crushing Strikes, which is a once per turn army, any combat phase. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. If it's equal to or less than the target's control score, the target has strike last for the rest of the turn. So in those units of 5 or 10 or whatever it might be, there's some really nice shenanigans you can play. Obviously, it doesn't work with control score 1 and barely control score 2, but getting into some of those again, high control score units. Love this.
Yeah. Is it their characteristic that you're doing it off of, or their score in general? Just to double check.
I'm going to bring up the rule really quickly.
But I will say on his ability before, he was already making monsters fight last, which had that 5
score. It's score.
Interesting. I believe that means then that a 10 block would have a control score of 10 or 11 if they have a banner, correct?
Pick an enemy unit. Yeah, like obviously banners or any buffs of like plus X or things like that.
Yeah, I apologize if I'm getting that wrong. I am good at rules. I wouldn't say I'm the best at rules, right? So if it is not the characteristic and it's instead the score,
it definitely doesn't say characteristic. It definitely doesn't say characteristic. It says score, which we're assuming at this point is going to include any positive or negative modifiers. And that's why I'm saying even something like control score 5, like a hero or a monster who wouldn't get a +X unless they had an artifact.
Yeah, I think he's great. He's now a little guy you could bring. He adds Ren to a hero. That's okay. But this strike last fighting and interrupting the activation order is huge for the army. And I think, again, 2 other things to call on this page. Blood Warriors moving into, first of all, no more Gorglaves. That's fine. I will miss them a little bit. Ren 2 damage 2 is cool, but there were only 1 per 10, so it's not like we're losing a ton. So moving that all together, but they did gain crit auto wound. That is a massive upgrade. Again, we are wounding now on 2s a lot of the time, but you're rolling buckets of dice. If anybody's ever rolled 101 attacks with a Blood Warrior unit, you will know that crit auto wound will do a lot. And guys, that's going to change into crit mortals once we get that either prayer on them or we get that battle trait unlocked, right? Crit mortals with these guys on 101 attacks or more it's going to be wild. And they also gained a ward of 5 up. So that's crazy.
Only when they're contesting an objective they don't control. So it goes back to what you were saying earlier about you're not sitting there and grinding. You are hitting and moving and moving and moving, and you're just continuing to contest and cap objectives, or even letting someone steal an objective of you and then go back in and fight again.
Definitely, yeah. That ward of 5 up is huge. That I will be using it to the best of my ability. And I think they're really good. I like Blood Warriors. And I also like Skull Crushers now have a new ability that makes them another tool piece. They gave a lot of these units these tool box sort of abilities. And that one is, again, I'm going to read this one because there's a lot of words, but it's once per turn army, end of any turn, pick a visible enemy model within 3 inches of this unit to be the target. Both players roll off. If you win the roll-off, pick a melee weapon that unit is armed with. Your opponent must pick a visible unit in their army within 3 of the target and resolve combat attacks. That's an Usharon. You fight that guy sort of ability. That's insane. That is so crazy good of an ability. And it's so cool and it's so toolboxy. Again, you're probably not spamming these guys, but having one of these guys and one of those guys and then putting them into the right units of your opponent's army, it's awesome. So awesome on what it can do.
I'm going to call out one more rule, and we have to call this one out. It's the bleeding icon.
Yeah.
And I have to call it out because we talked about manipulating the tables. This is another way we can manipulate the blood tithe table, but temporarily. So the Sigil of Doom is a once per turn your hero phase ability. Pick a visible, friendly Blades of Khorne unit wholly within 8 inches of this manifestation. Then pick a blood tithe ability that you have not unlocked this battle. Roll a dice. If it is equal or exceeds the blood tithe points cost for that chosen ability, until the start of your next turn, the target can use the chosen ability as if it's unlocked.
Yeah, it is very, very good at getting you the buffs that you need when you need them, right? So it's much more similar to a Burning Sigil that Tzeentch has in terms of getting you the buffs to then send your units in, and I think that's awesome. I'm really glad that this changed because I do think that some of our manifestations were a little bit lacking before. Turning off your opponent's commands within 8 on a 2d6 roll of 8 up was good, but man, did that have a lot of hoops to jump through. That 8-inch zone was not as good, but now putting your own units wholly within 8 and then sending them off afterwards is a lot easier to manage and bubble and kind of charge up the next unit while the first unit that just got the buffs goes forward.
Yeah, and it might be nice to use, for example, with we were talking about glorious combat on Naught, right? The temporary use of subtracting 1 from shooting. Well, you might not need that long term during the game, so that might be an easy way to access this particular thing. Be in range, get shot at before you get charged, or either a covering fire, which would then subtract 2, right? That'd be you can't be -2, but unless there's a buff. Then if there's a +1 buff somewhere or whatever, where I'm going with this. There's some nice things to consider, but
yeah,
I think it's good.
It's good. Yeah, very good. The other thing for this evade. Oh, good.
I was gonna say Revel in Battle. Like if you get stuck on one path, you can go into Revel in Battle, and then there's a lot of
take
tipping.
Something. Yeah, and I do like, again, keeping it. I didn't like before where you put it out and you hope your opponent's units are around it. and that they stay around it. Now you put it in the center of your army and you buff what the pieces that you need when you need them, right? And that's a lot better from a play style perspective. You can utilize that, and I like it. And it, your opponent wants to get rid of it, which is, they could waste their own unbinds and stuff like that to try and do so, which is good. Other things on the page were just small changes. Slaughter Priest, obviously you don't gain Blood Tithe the same way you used to anymore, so he now gains ritual points. Great change. Korgorath, I still don't love it. I don't know. I'm not a Korgorath lover, but he exists still, so Korgorath enjoyers rejoice. If he drops down another 50 points, maybe he's playable. I think he's like 120, 130 now.
Oh my gosh. I was literally about to pull out the phone to work out how many points a Corgi is. Like, just put it out of its misery. Like,
he is at
120 points for an 8 health, 5 up save. Like, I don't need that. Subtract 3 from the control score of enemy non-monster units while they're in combat with this thing.
Yeah, and he lost his shooting attack, which was not great, but still losing that and then also losing his healing. So he's not even a little bit tanky anymore. This guy's got to be chaos spawn levels of cheap for me to start taking him.
And it's 5 attacks hitting on 4. So, like, on average, you're getting 2 or 3 attacks in.
And I assume he's still got companion, which means none of the bonuses we talked about before apply to him.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Look at the old war scroll. Yeah, no, it's still companion. It's still companion.
Does he have Blood Hungry?
No.
Exactly. I'm sorry. This guy is the worst scroll. I used to say Blood Crushers were the worst scroll in the game. I think this guy is it now, unless he's 60, 70 points. If he's 120 still, count me out, coach. I don't know.
I think the only 2 units that with their melee weapons that don't have Blood Hungry is the Korgorath, and I'm pretty sure the Skull Cannons doesn't have it. Now, Skull Cannon I'll accept. But the Corgi, come on, man. Like, I'm looking, everyone has Blood Hungry. Everyone has Blood Hungry, except old Corgi.
It's bad. It's bad.
Oh, put it out of its misery. Like,
sure.
Come on.
There'll be one guy who's got 30 of them that they're running, that they want to run. And you know what? Like I said, at 70 points, better wounds efficiency. But, he's a funny guy right now.
By the way, I'm going to apologize. The Skull Cannon does have it on both the Hellblades and the Gnashing Maw. So it looks like it's only the Corgi that doesn't have.
There you go. The no love. They're like, we're keeping him around, but not giving him anything.
Old Yeller. Just taking him out to the fields. I'm sorry. Before we move into Armies of Renown, any final closing thoughts on the War Scroll change? Obviously, we talked a little bit about the new War Scroll, the Deathbringer.
So just to reiterate, because they weren't on that page, and I asked the same question to you a couple days ago, Wrathmongers still give +1 attacks, everybody. So that's a critical key piece. Bloodsecrator can still give +1 attacks board wide. So when you're doing your thinking on these numbers and all the, how good is a unit? What is it doing for me? Bloodstoker's still giving run and charge. You're getting more D6 movements here and there. You still have a lot to play with a lot of these key units. You're still playing with a lot of them very similarly as to how you would be, but a lot of units change. And I think, again, they changed for the better. They changed. We are a hard hitting army now. And I like it. Way less tricks to keep us alive. I think we'll be dying a lot more. I would say, I was getting tabled as Khorne not very often, like very, very few times that I ever get fully tabled in all the games I played with them. I think now I can get fully tabled and still win a game because I might have just killed enough of their own things. And so I think that's a really cool style of play to do it with. I think games might be a little bit faster, which is fun too. And again, overall better, enjoyable experience for people.
Yeah, dig it. I would agree with what you just shared. And yes, anything that's not on the document, either I didn't notice it, and I go through this pretty thoroughly. I spend many hours going through each war scroll, having them side by side, looking at every little thing. So if I've missed it, it's because I just happened to, I don't know, be drinking or something. But otherwise, it's the same. It's like I'm just looking at the book right now. Yes, absolutely. Bloodstoker still allows you to use a once per turn your movement phase, charge, and run. Bloodsecrator still does have the +1 attacks for bloodbound units, melee weapons for the rest of the turn. So,
lots of good tools still there, and I think that's fun.
So let's talk about some other tools, and we've got first off Gorechosen Champions. So this is a army of renown. By taking an army of renown, you are sacrificing basically everything we've just showed you with the table and all of the battle traits, the battle formations. You are stuck to this set of rules, and you're building an army based on these types of rules, and you'll gain the Gorechosen Champion keyword. By the way, none of your war scrolls have Gorechosen anymore, so don't look for any weird synergies here. Both the Bloodthirster and Gorechosen keywords have disappeared. So I didn't notice any interactions where the Bloodthirster keyword was important, or at least in the new book. But just notice those two things of if it referred to a Bloodthirster as likely demon monster unit or unique, non-unique monster demon.
Main 2 was the Wraththirster, but they rewrote that one, and the Mighty Lord of Khorne, and they rewrote that one. So I think they covered their bases on those.
Yeah. So Gorechosen Champion, you've got to pick an army that consists of 0 to 1 Mighty Lords of Khorne. If you include it, has to be the general, any Slaughter Priest, any Bloodsecrator, Bloodstoker, Realmgore Ritualist, Skullgrinder, Deathbringers. You can't include a regiment of renown. And then with your regiment options, any bloodbound warmongers can be added to a regiment led by a Gorechosen Champion unit. Does that make any sense to you as a Khorne player?
Yeah, so a lot of these guys have the sub-hero tag, and the sub-hero tag is a bloodbound warmonger. So like the Secrator has it, Stoker has it, Skullgrinder I think has it, and the Deathbringers, the other ones used to, so I'm going to assume the new one has it as well. But that means we can now start sub-heroing them into the Slaughter Priest or the whatever you want in this. So you don't have to be 1,000 drops. You could be 3 drops or 5 drops or something like that.
Though to get the priority reroll, it's actually not a bad thing to be 1,000,000 drops at the moment, unless you want to dictate turn 1. What do you get for it? You get a bunch of rules. So you're going to get, I'm just going to read them all out in one go, and then Alec can give me some initial thoughts. So you get the Murder 1 trophies that basically gives you a second artifact, and you choose that at deployment, not in army composition. Gives you some great flexibility there. Brutal Lash Master. Each time a friendly Bloodstoker unit uses the Whip to Fury ability, another friendly Gorechosen Champion hero within its combat range can be picked to be the target instead of the non-hero Bloodbound unit. You have the Red God's Eye, which is friendly Gorechosen Champions have a ward of 4+. Hate Field Killers, which is if a friendly Gorechosen Champion unit would be destroyed before you remove it from play, roll the dice. On a 5-up, it's not destroyed. Any remaining damage points have no effect, and it's healed 1. And then finally, you have the Legendary Slayer, where blood-hungry weapons used by friendly Gorechosen Champions have crit mortal. So it still accesses some type of thing around blood hungry without having the table that is in the battle traits. Thoughts so far?
This will be the first list I try with the new book. I saw this and I was like, this might be the best AoR ever printed. Maybe the results will be totally wrong. It'll be totally wrong, totally different, and I'll be wrong. But your whole army has a 4-up ward. Every unit can multiple times 5-up stand up, and everything has crit mortals. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we don't have all the little shenanigans that we had before, but this is so cool. And also, I don't have to take 1,000 models to a tournament. I could probably bring about 15 models, maybe 20, and I'm probably getting a full army list here, and they're all going to be about this big, right? So I think there's some really cool stuff with this. I love this. This seems very strong. And there's going to be an artifact that we see on the next page that will, again, be another thing that I think is very strong with it as well. What was your initial thought when you saw this?
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the old Fireslayer playstyle with the, what is it?
Grimwrath Berserker.
The Grimwrath Berserker build, yes. Yeah. Where you just got a board full of idiots, and they are going in, doing damage, clocking up the board, denying board space, and you're just flooding them with chaff. Except
Yes.
with you've got 4-up wards, you've got obviously a little bit more output than the Grimwrath Berserkers, a little bit more speed than they have, a few more tools than they have.
Yep.
I was going to ask you a question because I guess if I was going to run a Bloodbound based army right now, let's say I was just going pure Bloodbound, what's the trade-offs here versus this particular one? I was going to ask you that question just to get your thoughts, but I think for me, this is not overpowered. I think this will play to a particular play style and particular person. I think you'll have fun regardless. I think this is a 2-3-3-2 army unless you can really pilot well. And I think it's fun as all hell.
I agree. So the reason why I think my impression of this is stronger off the bat is because, like I said, my list, I now have probably 15 or 20 practice games on over the last couple weeks, is 16 aspiring Deathbringers with a couple other hero supports, and then like 5, I think I have 10 Wrathmongers and 10 Blood Warriors. So I'm only running 3 units that are not in this roster option. So if I trade those out with my playstyle I'm thinking in my head, and I add in 4-up ward, unlimited 5-up get up, that one idiot can roll 3 5-ups in a row and tank about 30 damage, 10 each time, right? Each time, and just be like, ignored 5-up, I'm alive. Ignored 5-up, I'm alive. Ignored 5-up, I'm alive. It has the potential, and then these crit mortals with those 3 damage attacks is really good. So you do trade off with my current play style, the tricks of the Blood Tithe, but I don't think that is too crazy of a trade-off. And if we look at the current book, or the new book that's coming out, you're trading off what's going to be a lot of aggressiveness, right? So we talked about all this unlimited aggression that's going to be shot out from these Khorne players. And they are going to want to get their troop units into combat, kill things and die. This is going to have a significantly slower play style. It's going to be much more difficult to play because you're going to have these fragile pieces that you need to position very, very well because you don't have all those movement shenanigans, and your scoring is going to be harder with battle tactics. But to me, I think in the right hands, this is such a cool army. And that's why I really like it. It gives some really good options.
To summarize a point, yes, I agree wholeheartedly. The challenge is objective control and battle tactics. So you need to choose your battle tactics very carefully.
Yes.
And outside of your blood, who's Bannerman? Secretor? Yeah, outside of Blood Secretor, even then, like, he's objective control 5.
Yeah.
Everyone else is 201. So your opponent can outplay you by not playing into combat, accepting that you're probably going to charge me, and playing the objective game. So that is the challenge you need to work through. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's the challenge that you need to work through.
They gave you a tool. If you go to the next slide, they have a really fun... really fun one.
All right. So, yes, that definitely does help. And probably this particular season, given that you don't have 8 objectives like we've seen in the past, does help a lot. Although having like 1 million bodies actually would also help as well. Anyway, you have 1 heroic trait, 3 artifacts, remembering that we can get an extra artifact through the battle trait we just talked about. So you get 2 of them. And then we have 3 prayers to bring in, and they're very unique prayers. Good to see apoplexy back. I'm like, I can say this word because I've practiced it in the past. I can't remember what Khorne unit had apoplexy in the past, but it's there. Heroic trait, you've got the Crown of Butchery, and that adds 20 to the control score while it's in combat, which even exceeds a Gargant. I think you still you're beating a Mega Gargant if you can survive that combat.
It's a fun.
You got 3 artifacts. You've got the Warmonger's icon. Once per battle, any combat phase, pick this unit and up to 3 friendly Gorechosen units in the combat range, and then they have strike first. You've got the Scarring Blade, any combat phase, inflict D3 mortal damage to this unit, and then for the rest of the turn, add X to the attack characteristic of melee weapons, and obvious for Gorechosen, and obviously where the X was the amount of mortal damage being suffered. For the rest of the battle, this unit cannot use the Hate Fuel Killer's ability and cannot be healed. And then the final artifact choice is this ward has a 3-up save against shooting attacks. So you get 2 of those. Obviously, one at list selection, one at deployment.
Yeah.
I might pause there, and then you got spell. You got prez.
Yeah, the Scarring Blade is the immediate first selection one. This is going to give you 1 to 3 attacks board wide every combat phase that you pop it. You don't have to pop it. And combined with the Blood Secretor's +1 attacks, you can get up to +4 attacks on your units for a turn. So, like, again, we're talking about everybody has crit mortals. They're 3 damage crit mortals. Now all my dudes have, 3 damage crit mortals. It's very good. You're probably putting the Scarring Blade on the Mighty Lord of Khorne as he has 7 health compared to the rest of them at 6 health, because that gives him an additional minimum 3 D3 rolls, because they cannot be healed and they cannot 5-up get up. That's what that Hate Fueled Killers is. So I think that is a phenomenal one, and you'd probably pair it the additional one with the Strike First one to get the, your go turn. You get a stronger one if they're against something heavy shooting, maybe the 3-up ward, but you already have a 4-up ward and it's only 1 unit. So yeah. And then, like you said, the 20 control score, you charge an objective or somebody charges you, you're saying, what are you going to do about it? Kill me on my 4-up ward, my 5-up get up. And if you don't, I'm here keeping that objective, which is very crazy. So yeah, like I said, this will be difficult to run. This is going to be a very hard army to run, but the tools here are so cool. And then you'll hit the prayers here in a second, and I love them as well.
And by the way, if anybody wants to buy 10 Deathbringers, again, Warfire Minis, Element Games, and Gap, go buy them from me. Go. Merry Christmas. Go do that. It'll be fun. Your opponent's going to be very confused, but know that you're going to work for this. Like, you are going to work for it. It's not an easy one. And to your point as well, like, Scarring Blade is probably what you pick in list composition, and then you flex between Icon or Skull, depending on what you need at deployment.
Yep.
I'm not going to read out all the prayers. This is not story time with Coach. But maybe I'll get your just a high level take. I really liked the prayers, actually. I thought all 3 of them were solid, and all very fair chanting values of 4.
Yeah, very fair. We have Brass Skull Meteor in there. We have a tank 1 with -1 rend, 2 units, and then we have the exploding units, and then causing those units to explode and do mortals to everything. And I think that's so cool. There are going to be turns where they have 1 model and a unit of guys left. You hit that for D6 damage, it dies, and then you hit everything around it for D6 damage as well. And that's awesome. I love that.
And you can see on the right-hand side as well, there was no space for it, but you also can summon the Wrath Axe. You don't get access to the others. It's purely one of the manifestations available to you.
Yep. Yeah. It's not the best one. I wish it was the Icon, but you don't have any other manifestation lore you could take with this, so it's just going to be that one, I think. So it's good.
We do need a universal prayer lore.
Yeah. When GW wants us to buy another box for manifestation box, they'll create it.
I'll be to be honest with you, I'm surprised they've existed as long as they have. To be honest, I thought they would have retired some of them by now and flogged us new ones. Anything else from a Gorge? I think we've said what we wanted to say. Yeah, cool. It's fun. It's different. It's not the strongest, but it's also not hot garbage. It's going to play into a particular play style and a particular type of player. You're obviously trading off some of your Bloodbound and Demon units that you'd want to run, and it plays into that Gorechosen heavy hero style. Any final thoughts? We got one more to talk about.
Nope. Yeah, we can bump into that next one. This is fun, and I like it.
Yeah, and armies of renown are meant to be fun. They're not meant to be busted. Sometimes they come out. The other one is going to speak to the other people on my stream, and that is the Baleful Lords, which is all about any monster, hero, demon unit. So you can't include Regiments of Renown, but this is your thirster build. This is your thirster. So what have you got? You got Mage Eater, which is a reaction to an opponent using a spell ability, and then you can basically not only eat that spell, but then on a 5-up, you'd inflict some damage to the caster, which is very cool. Born of Butchery, once per turn movement phase, pick a Baleful Lord that's been destroyed, unit that has been destroyed to be the target. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of units, friendly or enemy, that have been destroyed in this battle. If the roll contains 8 or more in the result of 4-ups, set up a replacement unit identical to the target anywhere on the battlefield more than 9. I'm going to pause on this one for a second because it's a bit of a like, what the F?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've lost a Bloodthirster.
Yeah.
Insert Bloodthirster here, whatever it is. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of units, friendly or enemy, that have been destroyed. Okay, so I don't know. There's 12 units on the board. There's 12 units. Let's say somehow it's turn 5 and 12 units have been destroyed. If the roll contains 8 or more 4-ups, so I roll 12 dice in this scenario, and I happen to get 12 4-ups, I get that Bloodthirster back on the table anywhere on the battlefield more than 9. So mathematically, unless you're lucky or your dice are cooked, you're looking for 16 units being destroyed. 16 units being destroyed. And remembering your army is a monster hero units only. So at best, what? You're 4 units? 5?
I think 5. I think currently, with current points, you can fit 5 specific Bloodthirsters. Not any Bloodthirster, but 5 specific, yeah.
Assuming that points don't change at this particular point,
yeah.
Let's say we have 5 units, right? So I need my opponent to have 11 units. Actually, no, not even that. Like, I would actually need more because I'd have no... I suppose if I had no Bloodthirsters left, I could still bring back a Bloodthirster. So I think I'm in deep trouble if I've lost 5 Bloodthirsters. But anyway, I would need 16 units mathematically to do 8 4-ups to get a unit back. But even then, then they've got no bodies left on the table either. So I need more like 17 plus units.
Yeah, this is so close to being interesting. This rule it's so tough. It is so tough. I would have hoped it would have been like roll a 2d6, add dead units. If it's 16 or more on a 2d6 plus dead units, then you get it. Right? So then you could at least get lucky if only like 5 units have died. You roll an 11 on dice. But this is tough to get. Tough. Even getting 8 units dead, and you're trying to roll all 8 4-ups. That one's tough. You do get to attempt it multiple times. If you get lucky and somehow you've done it, you could bring back 3, 4, 5 Bloodthirsters somehow. But
I want to know the game where you have killed like 16 or 12 models early enough to get multiple attempts in the game. Unless you're playing, I don't know. Either way, crazy cool rule, not going to happen. Although if it does happen, I want you to tag me on Discord and let me know that it's happened, because that's some wild. That's wild, and I want you to put your dice in a cup of water. I want to make sure that there's no air bubbles that are cooked dice.
Yes.
Otherwise, assume that's not going to happen. But otherwise, you've got Bellow of Hatred. So once per turn, any combat phase, you can use a friendly Baleful Lord that has not used a rampage for the rest of the turn. Enemy units cannot use commands while they're in combat with the target. The target unit cannot use another rampage this turn. Makes sense. Drawn by blood, end of your turn. Pick a Baleful Lord unit that's not using a rampage use ability. This unit can move D6. It can move in combat, but only with units that were in combat at the start of this phase. If that unit destroyed any enemy units this turn, then instead it can move 2D6. It can end that move in combat, and blah, 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 blah. And then finally, first in his sight, once per turn army, end of any turn, heal D3 each Baleful Lord that's in combat. And there's obviously a second page, but interesting. I don't know if this is interesting enough that I would just trade what we like the whole battle, like hero, all the stuff that I've just talked about in the first hour and a half.
I would question the trade as well. These 2 rampages are good. No dice roll roar, phenomenal. A 2d6 potential like end of turn charge, awesome. Healing D3 is only in the end of enemy turn is interesting. not necessarily great, not every turn. But yeah, I don't know if the trade-off is worth it on this one. This one can be tweaked though. If they ever do want to just get this to be playable, they could tweak a couple of things here and there, and this could be awesome. I love it. I think the two ARs nailed what people wanted. All heroes, both of them, demon heroes, mortal heroes, are awesome in terms of themes. But yeah, this one missed a little bit on some of the rules.
I was skipping ahead to see if you can manipulate that. If there was a way to get it to a 3-up somehow with a prayer or an artifact or something where I'm still rolling 8 dice. I could probably roll 8 dice right now, and like it'd take me a while to get a bunch of 3-ups. I don't know how you roll what, but anyway, you get my point. It'll take a lot, even on a 3-up. So, the other thing is, well, you got a couple of other battle traits. There's actually 2 more battle traits, 1 hero trait, 1 artifact. The other 2 battle traits is both end of turn. So one is end of your turn. The other one's end of your turn. Price of Mercy. Pick this. If you use this ability, pick each friendly Baleful Lord unit that didn't charge or use fight. Roll a dice. On a 2-up, inflict 1 mortal damage. So basically, they need to be charging or fighting, or you get punished. And then Sunder, the Sorceress, is pick each enemy manifestation within 3 of the Baleful Lords, roll 2d6, and basically you can banish and then deal d3 mortal damage to the unit that summoned it, which also is a very nice ability. You then finally have a heroic trait that adds +1 attack characteristic with friendly Baleful Lords while they're within 12. That's good. And then the Crown of Slaughterborn is an artifact where enemy units within 12 inches cannot be healed and cannot have slain models returned. I also like that.
All so those rules here.
Yeah, they're all. Well, not the Price of Mercy. That sucks. That's basically forcing you to fight, but you should be. But
yeah. But yeah, I like I said, this is very close, very very close to being fun, playable. You could play this at an RTT. But yeah, I think an all demon thirster list in the main book will probably be better.
Yeah, like it's that one rule, the Born by Butchery, which you can see they didn't want to pull the trigger on to make it busted. But I think that's actually what's holding it back, because other stuff is nice to have, but I'd probably just rather main book Bloodthirster. Go all in on Bloodthirster still and Scarbrand and things, but I get more for less.
Yes.
Alec, this has been 2 hours of absolute goodness when it comes to the book. Remembering again, if you want to buy your 16 Deathbringers and help the channel, or buy the book, buy the things, Warpfire Minis, Element Games, or Gap Games, link below. Thank you so much. If you do happen to click the link, what's your closing thoughts here, man? Because like a lot has happened, and I'll reframe and say that of all the Battletomes that I have previewed in 4th edition so far, this is the most change that's happened. Yes, IDK had a bunch of changes as well, but not to the level. They had a bunch of cleanups where like companions got merged into a main profile and all of those idiot 4 and 4 hits and stuff, they just got cleaned up. But this is a complete rewrite, and there's a lot of tweaks, and I think this is going to be fascinating for players to pick up. It'd be like buying a new car where like it's familiar. It's like, but there's like, the cushion hasn't got your bum groove in there just yet. You've got new features that you haven't pressed the button for just yet. And when you start driving it, it's going to feel different. And eventually you'll get used to it. But it's a car. It works like a car. It does the car things. But it just feels different. What's your reflections and, I guess, closing thoughts at this point?
Yeah, it's a car that has a lot more horsepower in terms of what it's trying to do. The steering might be a little bit more shaky in terms of everything, but that's how you want it. I think we gained a lot of things. I think we lost the things that people expected to lose. I hope that people are not critically surprised with them removing or tweaking some things here and there. They had a very clear thought in mind when they put together this book, and that's something I really appreciate, right? somebody looked at this book and really gave it their all. We are not seeing them just removing things and then being like, deal with it. We are seeing them saying, hey, we changed how things work from a core component for some of these battle traits, for some of these heroes or identities for these armies. And we want them to still be fun, playable, good, etc. And I think that is something that I very, very much appreciate them doing. It's something that gets me excited to play this army. Again, I have never been excited about an army of renown in my life, and I even got excited about an army of renown, right? Like that is a credit to the rules writers that they're writing stuff that I like there. And yeah, I'm excited to play with all these different units now. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun list building once this book fully comes out and I get all the points. And I think a lot of people are going to try and find what does new Khorne look like, because it's not going to be take the same old list and switch one or two things. It's going to be very, very different.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there'll be, and I'll rewind. You can still run the old list.
Oh, for sure.
So, like, we're not saying that like you've got to go out and buy new things. Like, if that's definitely not the argument. But what it does do is, because you've got so many new tools, new opportunities, so many tweaks, I think it's worth stepping back to saying, what's my style? I like to do this. I like to do this. And like, what are the characteristics, or what are the units that allow me to express my army the way I want to express, the battle tactics I want to score, the tempo that I like to run. I know, for example, the people who relied on the 3d6 charge bloodthirsters is going to have they're going to have to really take a step back to go, okay, how do I run this army? Do I still want to be more aggressive? And if I do, am I tapping into Murderlust? Am I tapping into, like, what are the things that I need to be doing in order to keep up that tempo? Or maybe I slow down a little bit, or I've only got, you know what I mean? Like yeah. All these questions and thoughts start coming up. That build definitely has been impacted.
Yeah.
Some of the other builds, like Bloodbound, and there's some units that have had tweaks either way, but then there's been glow-ups. Things like Blood Warriors, for example. Perfect.
Yeah.
Tweaks like you want to run a bunch of Blood Reavers and just spam them and die them and then trigger some mortals on the prayer. That's now a viable strategy.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point, which was you don't have to go out and buy new things with this book. That excites me a lot. I used to play FEC back in the day, and when they came out with that new FEC a year or two ago, I was like, I'm over it, because you have to play all the new things. I don't want to spend that. This is now like a collector's book. You could look at all the different units. Skull Crushers have a cool ability that might be useful. Blood Crushers have a cool ability that might be useful. All of your dudes have these cool abilities that maybe you want to put a little bit of each in and then express your skill through the gameplay of being like, now that I have all these cool, unique little abilities, how do I get them to win me games against each of my unique opponents that I'm playing against? So I like the fact that, yes, I think this is going to get people to get some models off their shelf and painted, which is awesome, because Khorne people have been playing a lot of spammy stuff for a long time. I don't like those, and I don't think you have to play that for this new style. I think you can definitely dive a lot more into these wider, more interesting, unique lists.
All right, last closing thoughts, and then you can give some shout outs. You said that some units could be dusted off, or maybe painted that haven't been painted. What unit is for you? What unit hasn't seen playing for a while that you're now questioning and like, oh, now there's some legs on this particular unit, or this unit's not painted yet. I need to bust out some paint.
Yeah, for me, it is the 2 Crusher units. I have never been big on Skull Crushers or Blood Crushers, and I could definitely see myself pulling them out and playing 1 or 2 units of each, because the +2 inches to move they both got, the abilities they got, they maintained what made them good before, which is 2-up saves on the Skull Crushers, and now my Blood Crushers are getting +1 rend on both of their profiles with these new abilities. That's cool to me. So I think that those will be ones that I'm going to be testing in some lists that I literally just didn't think about before.
And I will close thought by saying, I'm so on the edge with getting a Scar brand. It's not funny. It is not funny. Never have I been tempted by an AoR, a Regiment of Renown, like this. my Gits one coming into Suns was forced. I needed magic and it was forced. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. Neve Black Talon, couldn't care less. Of all of these regiments of renown, the Callus and Toll, couldn't care less. But Scarbrand,
he's a threat.
Scarbrand in a regiment of renown, ignoble. I went through it all. I'm imagining what does this look like in my Zinch list if I was to have two big birds? I've got Kairos and a lot of change with that thing, right? What does this look like when I'm combining it with a whole bunch of, I don't know, flies, or even, mind blank, what they call Black Kings and things like that.
Blight Lords, yeah.
Well, I'm tying someone up with a Guo as long with Scarbrand. What does this look like with all the shooting from Slanesh and Seekers and things like that? There's just flood the board with 100 or more clan rats that keep coming back and moving in my hero phase along with a Scarbrand, and maybe there's a team with a Vermin Lord. There's so many crazy things you could do, and I just love the idea. I'm such a Timmy. Alec, any final comments? By the way, this has been awesome. I appreciate you. You've given some great thoughts. We don't have points. We don't have any erratas or any clarity. So we've given you a preview based on what we experienced so far. And no doubt, Alec, as you keep playing the book and getting more experiences, more thoughts will come together. My Discord is a great melting pot for people to kind of share ideas and thoughts, and this worked here, and grab the tabletop simulator game and I tried this and this worked really well, or don't do this. So we'll all collectively learn more. But any shout outs to you, any people you want to say hello to? I think you've definitely earned it.
Yeah, thank you. It's been very fun, so thank you for having me on. I will shout out Tomo, Gareth Thomas. He is a big proponent into helping me in the community and helping me with learning more about how to get more involved in the community. I started running events of my own in the last year, and he's been great in helping me with packs, helping me build packs, helping me get terrain for those events. And so as a local to him, that's huge. I have my boy Noog, Matt Nguyen, or Noog, in the chat. That is a good friend of mine, and keeps me going and keeps me thinking crazy with this game. He pushes me because he does vibes-based Warhammer and I do stats-based Warhammer. So that's a fun pairing when we get in list discussions together. And then, again, if anybody wants to chat or get opinions from me, I do participate a lot in your Discord. It's a great community. Blades of Khorne chat, any chaos chat, feel free to hit me up in, but Khorne has been my main army for the last little bit that I've been practicing a lot with. So I'm always happy to chat Khorne there. And I do have strong opinions and I like to share them. So it's a good place for that. And then lastly, just shout out Old Town Throwdown, which is a big event that does, large AoS events on the West Coast. They have Old Town Throwdown, Small Town Throwdown. The Old Town Throwdown is coming up in about a month's time in Southern California. It's the largest event in California, largest event on the West Coast other than LVO. And so that's a great event to go to. You have a lot of the top players in the US. Gavin is coming out. I know Tom Guan's local to the area. A ton of people from Team America come out, and it's a really good place to prove yourself. And it's also a super fun event. Really nice space, bar at the event, food trucks at the event, and it's all for charity at the end of the day. They have blind auctions, so it's all for a good cause. So, I'm going to promote that event to say, people come out, see that, participate. We'll all have a good time, and hopefully, I see people there, and we have some good Khorne games because I really want to play them for that tournament.
Well, you got a little over a month to practice, but yeah, Alec, this has been awesome. I appreciate your insights. I hope you found value. Again, let us know in especially Discord, let us know in Discord how you're finding it, and everyone, I want to hear your thoughts. And again, apologies for finding that little thing at the very end of Murder Lust, which completely changed the dynamic. I might make a small edit to make sure that people see it, but just know that any that we talked about, maybe just rewind it a turn because it's kind of impactful.
Yeah, but that shows you how many changes there were, right? So many we could barely keep up. So it was good.
So many changes, but we caught it in the very end. So
Yes.
we caught it. Folks, thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this chat. I hope you found value. I hope it helps you steer through your guidance when it comes to Khorne and find where the blood flows for you and make the most of the skulls that you're about to reap. Alec, you're awesome. Chat, you're awesome. Thanks for joining us and enjoy.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for hanging around until the end. I hope you enjoyed that video and you walked away with a few new ideas. Now, if you did, I would love it if you pressed like on the video, as well as left me a comment with your thoughts. The conversation will continue over on Discord, and the link is down below in the episode description. I also want to give a massive shout out to the AoS Coach patrons and YouTube members who are supporting the channel and the growth that you're seeing here. So cheers, you are all bloody legends. And until next time, don't roll a double one on a spellcast.